started the application last month, correct? Yes, on all three.
Could I have a motion of approval of the minutes for September 9th, 2025 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Galise,
Aye.
Mr. Gasparini.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mr. Polifonte.
Aye.
Mr. Dutcher.
Aye.
Mr. Costelli.
Aye.
Mr. Latimer.
Aye.
Chairman Cafone.
Aye. Thank you. Under new business, application 6-2025, please come forward.
And Mr. Chairman, prior to the meeting, I sworn our planner, our new planner for this meeting and all other meetings this year. That's just for the record.
Just want to remind everybody, put their mics on when they speak, and then you could shut them after you're done speaking.
If I stand like this, I have to tap that.
Yeah, just turn it on. That'll turn it on.
Good evening. My name is Paul Jemis. I'm the attorney for the applicants who are Matthew Sadecki and Ashley Victorianti, who are here with us. Can you hear me? Okay. I'll speak loud. Usually I'm told to speak softer, but I'll do that here. We also have with us, they're here with us, we also have Gary Viglianti, who is the father of Ms. Viglianti, who owns the property. Accompanying me are, to my right, David Agarian, who's the DJ Agarian Associates, that's the engineers. We have here Jeffrey Stiles, who's our professional planner. Also in attendance is Janice Coyne, who's a project manager with regard to the building that's going up, the house that's going up, in case you guys, anybody has any questions about that. And we'll just proceed with Mr. Agarian, if you don't mind.
Sir, could you raise your right hand? You swear a firm testimony you're about to give before the board is true self you got?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
David J. Egarian, Egarian.
And you are an engineer?
Yes.
All your licenses are in full force and effect?
Correct, it is.
You've been either sworn before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I've no further questions. The gentleman's been.
Thank you. We accept your credentials.
Thank you.
Mr. Agarian, I'm going to ask you to share your thoughts and plans with the board to show what's going on.
Okay,
All right?
first I have some handouts.
We're going to mark this A1.
Would you identify it, Mr. Agarian, as to what those handouts are?
They're copies of the zoning tables. Just when I go through it, it's easier for everyone to take a look at it. Zoning tables for the existing and the proposed lots, and a copy of the existing home and that site plan, and a copy of the proposed site plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Agarian, is what you've distributed to the board in terms of the proposed site plan similar to what's on the easel that you're going to be demonstrating?
Yes, those plans are identical.
All right, thank you.
Can everyone see the plans okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, so this application is for 44 Sunset Road, Block 2001, Lot 3. It's in Zone R1, which is a 15,000 square lot. It's an application for a minor subdivision and the proposed site plan for the remainder. Looking at drawing number 2, this is a colorized rendition of drawing number 2. Do you want to mark that?
A2.
Me too. That's sheet number 2, is that correct?
It's drawing 2 of 7. And if the board would take a look at my handouts, numbers 1 and 2. The existing lot, which is highlighted in yellow, is a conforming lot. It's in the 15,000 square foot zone, so the existing lot is over 35,000 square feet, 35,110. And the lot width, depth, and front yard, and that's the front yard fronting on Sunset, is 57.4 feet. And because it also fronts on Rosemere, there's a front yard setback from Rosemere, which is 179.6 feet. Looking at handout number 2 is the lot coverage calculations. So we have 8.4% for the max lot coverage and 17.3% for all the impervious surfaces. And in the main zoning table, the max lot coverage is 20%. So the existing lot is well under the coverages. Drawing number 3 of 7 shows the subdivision line in blue. It's not quite a bifurcation, but close to it.
Mr. Chairman, will identify that as A3 or? Yes, thank you.
Okay, so if the board would take a look at handouts number 3 and 4. Handout number 3 depicts the zoning data for the new lot number 3. Then it shows how lot number 3 continues to be in conformance with the ordinance. The lot area is reduced to 19,811, while 15,000 is acceptable. And now it has a rear yard, and the rear yard is 54.6 feet, which also conforms. So lot number 3 is conforming. And turning to handout number 4 is the zoning data for the new lot. We're calling it 3.1. And scrolling through that table, the new lot area is 15,299, and the front yard setback is 35.1. So lot number 3.1 also conforms with the ordinance, and it will front on Rosemere. Turning to drawing number 4 of 7.
We'll mark that A4 for identification.
Okay, it's not modified at all, though.
Yeah.
All right,
A4?
A4.
A4 is the overall plot plan showing the original lot 3, and the new lot, 3.1, with the new home and a proposed pool in the side yard, in the rear yard, rather. Going back to the zoning tables on pages 3 and 4 of the handout, in particular, number 4 shows all the zoning data for the new lot 3.1, showing that it does conform with the ordinance. Going to drawing number 5 of 7. The grading and stormwater plan. So the topography generally slopes from south to north, from Rosemere down to Sunset. The elevation at Rosemere is elevation 316 plus or minus, and at Rosemere it's about 304. So overall, it's about a 5% grade down towards Rosemere. Sunset. Excuse me. But this area behind, from the backyard over to Rosemere, is not flat, but has a mild topography, and there's a slope down from the existing dwelling down to Sunset. The drainage is in that direction, down towards lots 1 and 2. moving that way. The way the new house is set up, the existing finished floor elevation of Lot 3 is 318.02. And the new floor elevation for the new lot is 318.0. So they're virtually the same. Lastly, we have a new impervious coverage, and the impervious coverage totalizes 5,318 square feet, and applying 2 inches of rain yields a drainage collection system of two 1,290-gallon seepage tanks. So everything is drained towards these two seepage tanks, and if there's any overflow, there's a roof leader overflow picking up the roof leaders. So all this area that was once non-pervious is now impervious. This is all being picked up and directed towards the dry wells. So in summary, a new lot is being created, leaving the initial lot, Lot 3, in conformance, and Lot 3.1 is also in conformance. And we have shown a proposed dwelling on 3.1 that also conforms with all of the bulk requirements, not needing any variances.
Just for the record, we would mark A5 as that last document that Mr., page 5, I think it was, correct?
Yeah.
Mr. Garin, you've had an opportunity to review Mr. Berry's memorandum that's dated October 9 and Ms. Fahey's memorandum that's dated October 6. Sorry. And the application's in conformance, and that's consistent with what their determinations were in those memoranda, correct?
That's correct, yes.
I have no further questions of Mr. Garin at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience for this particular engineer? Seeing none, thank you.
We would now call Jeff Stiles, who's our professional planner. Thank you, Mr. Garin.
Sir, if you could raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're about to give before the board is the truth, so help you God.
I do.
For the record, could you state and spell your name?
Sure. Jeffrey Stiles, S-T-I-L-E-S.
And your testimony will be planning,
Yes,
and you're a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey?
I am.
You've been qualified either before this board or other boards in the state?
I have testified before this board on several occasions.
You've been
and-
qualified?
Yes,
And all your licenses are still in full force and effect?
they are.
Mr. Chairman, the witness has been sworn and qualified. And has already been qualified before this board once in the past, at least.
Thank you. You can continue.
Mr. Stiles, would you please discuss your determinations with regard to the application?
Yes, I was retained by the applicant to review the application for conformance to the zoning ordinance and to be consistent with the municipal master plan. And as you heard from the engineer, that both lots post-subdivision will 100% comply with the zoning ordinance, and this is a relatively simple minor subdivision without variances or other relief being requested. The plot plan that was showed shows that a suitable house can be built on the property without causing any other additional or any variances related to that. So it's my professional opinion that this application meets all the zoning requirements and the minor subdivision regulations of the municipality, and the board would be fully within its right to grant approval for the applicant.
Thank you. I have no further questions of Mr. Stiles, Mr. Chairman, at this time.
Does any member from the board have any questions? Any member from the audience? Seeing none, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, unless the board has some questions of the applicants, we would respectfully submit or consider the approval of this application. Because we know you got a lot of people waiting here, and we want to move it along if we can.
Absolutely. So looking at the applicant, obviously you meet all the criteria for the subdivision. So at this time, I'd like to have a motion to,
You have to open it up to the public, if anyone's for or against the application.
anyone for or against the application in the audience? Seeing none, can we get a motion to,
Mr.
Vote on
Chairman,
this
I'd like to
application.
make a motion to approve the application, and I applaud the engineering and the architect for not overbuilding the site. So it's a beautiful area. I think it'll be fine.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Mayor Galise.
Aye.
Mr. Gasparini.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia. Aye. Mr. Moreno. Mr. Palafonte.
Aye.
Mr. Dutcher.
Aye.
Mr. Castelli. Mr. Latimer.
Aye.
Chairman Cafone.
Aye. Good luck.
Chairman, with your permission, I'd be remiss as a former elected official in zoning board not to compliment the board's professionals. Mr. Berry, Mr. Lepari, Ms. Fahey, and Ms. Miller were very cooperative and made things very, very easy, so we appreciate it.
I'm sure they thank you for the compliment.
Thank you.
Next, under new business, we have application 5-2025, March Car Fairfield LLC. 472-480 Route 46, Block 38021, Lot 20 and 21. This is a preliminary and final subdivision site plan variance.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cameron McLeod. I'm an attorney with Gibbons PC. We represent the applicant, March Carroll Fairfield LLC, on this application seeking preliminary and final major site plan and subdivision approval relative to the parcels you see on the colorized site plan that will mark to my right. This application relates to 472 and 480 Route 46. This is the former Corrado's Market and Soundwaves retail store that are right next to each other. Soundwaves is staying. Corrado's is being proposed to be replaced by an approximately 21,500 square foot restaurant and retail plaza. What has been proposed is a subdivision that's going to clean up some lot lines that presently exist that are a bit funky, and we'll preside the testimony on that front. And the use that you'll hear about tonight is permitted really with some bulk coverage and setback requirements that we'll work through, both through the engineering testimony and then also through the planning testimony that we'll back clean up with. Just by way of housekeeping, notice of this application was published on the 25th of September. We provided Jennifer a copy of the affidavit, and I'll provide 4 witnesses with me here this evening. Mr. Joe Holtzapfel, who's seated to my left. We also have Chuck Dietz, who's the project's architect. Rihanna Kirchhoff, who's a professional engineer with Dolan and Dean Traffic Engineering. And then batting cleanup for us will be John Barry, who's a professional planner, and will provide the planning testimony in support of the C variance testimony that's being requested this evening. We've also received, I believe, 4 comment letters from the board and its professionals. And as you'll hear throughout the rest of the testimony, not to steal the thunder of our professionals, we'll be able to comply with and provide the testimony in support of all the items designated therein. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to ask Mr. King to swear Mr. Holtzapfel, and we'll jump in.
Sir, if you could raise your right hand, you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
I did.
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
Sure. Joseph Holtzapfel, Holzapfel, and I'm with Bowler Engineering.
And you're a licensed engineer?
Yes,
And all your licenses are in full force and effect?
that's correct.
And you've been sworn either before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
A few other boards in the state of New Jersey. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, he's been sworn and his credentials meet it.
Thank you. We accept your credentials.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joe, just by way of background, the plans that we'll be reviewing this evening were previously submitted to the board and prepared under your supervision.
That's correct.
Okay. And those plans were previously submitted to the board. Those are the plans that have been reviewed by the board's professionals and the plans that serve the basis for the various exhibits that we'll be reviewing tonight, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, I noticed that up here to my right, and then also in a packet here,
Yep.
you've got copies of some exhibits. Mr. Chairman, if we can label, I think, the packet as A1 collectively,
Yep.
and then there are a number of sheets within it that we'll be putting up. Mr.
Yes.
King, if that works?
That'd be fine.
Great.
And all those, that packet A1 is just a reference, smaller reference of the
Exactly, yep.
boards.
We figured this will be easier for you to be able to actually see it rather than straining to see these. And actually, Joe, why don't I hand those around while you get started? Sure. So if you could you give the board the benefit, though I think everybody knows what we're talking about, where we're located, what the sites presently are, and then what's proposed?
Okay, so thank you everybody for your time this evening. As indicated, we're here for the March Carroll Fairfield LLC application located at 472 and 480 Route 46 in the Township of Fairfield. We're here tonight for preliminary and final major site plan as well as preliminary and final major subdivision. The property is located, again, we're getting handed out reference A1 or to exhibit A1. So I guess we can call this sheet 1 of exhibit A1, which I have marked. For reference, north is to the top of the page. This exhibit is dated with tonight's date of October 14th, and it was prepared by my office. So what you're looking at here is an aerial photograph of the site and some of its surroundings. The two sites that we are here tonight for are outlined in yellow. They're more formally known as Block 3802, lots 21 and 20, and that's respectively to 472 Route 46 and 480 Route 46. The smaller lot, which is to the southwest, is approximately 23,498 square feet, or about 0.54 acres. The property to the east, the larger property, is lot 20, is 125,694 square feet, or approximately 2.89 acres. Just for a bit of clarity in terms of the subdivision, it is generally a land swap between the two parcels, about 5,000 square feet. So you can see on the, we'll call it the southeast corner of lot 21, you do have a little bit of an indent going into, or what it feels like into lot 20. And lot 20 kind of surrounds lot 21. So what we're gonna do is essentially take about 5,000 square feet, put that at the rear of lot 21, right? Or the south side of lot 21 to make it a little more manageable in terms of a land area. It's more rectangular. And then lot 20 will essentially take that over. And again, you'll see in some of the proposed conditions, just allows for a more efficient layout. But essentially the site areas will remain exactly the same as part of the land swap, or formerly known as a, more formal as a subdivision. So the site is located in the HD zone, or the Route 46 Special Highway Development Zone. Just for context and for clarity of the surroundings, to the northwest you have Route 46 with some commercial uses beyond. To the northeast you have some commercial office uses. To the southeast you have Fairfield Road, which is a county road, and some other commercial. There's a church beyond that, as well as to the southwest you have some commercial uses neighboring. For lot 21, again the smaller lot, there's an existing building. It's a retail store, Soundwaves Car Accessories. Generally that building will remain exactly the same under proposed conditions, as well as a lot of the site features, the frontage, all that, the access point off of Route 46. And what you'll see is part of the application, we are reworking some of the parking, but I'll get into that in a few minutes. For lot 20, as some of you or most of you know, it is the existing Corrado's grocery store that is currently vacant. Yeah, hello? Okay. That is currently vacant. And it does also have other site amenities such as parking, lighting, stormwater. So that is the existing conditions for lot 20. From an access perspective, there is a right-in, right-out access off of Route 46, which you'll see will remain generally. And then we also have the access off of Fairfield Road, which again, general geometry will be tweaked slightly, but the location will generally remain the same. From a circulation perspective, you can kind of see on the packets and maybe on this aerial that I have in front of me. The parking is a little disjointed. There are a couple separate areas. You have some of the storage, I'll call it, at the rear of the site or along Fairfield Road. The storage, there's a barn, and there's just a lot of little things happening on the site, with the main building being up front. It's approximately 12,000 square feet. So again, just a little bit of a disjointed, I'll say, site area with parking fields. You do have the parking lot of lot 21 almost interjecting into the parking area of lot 20. So the goal of this application, again, is to reorient those two lots, have that land swap, and then give both a little more of an efficient layout. I'll now turn to the second sheet, so we can call this, I guess it would be A1 sheet 2. So if you flip to your second sheet, this sheet is essentially the same exact site plan that you all received in your packets as part of the initial submission. So this is sheet C301, it's the site plan. Again, you'll see a little slight rotation compared to the aerial exhibit, but again, just for reference, north is to the top of the page. This is that sheet C301 that you previously received. However, it is colorized, and we do have the proposed landscaping now superimposed, just to show the site in its totality for purposes of this presentation. The date of the plan is that same June 11th, 2025 date. However, the date of the exhibit is, again, tonight's date of October 14th. So what you can see here is the proposal. I'll start with lot 21. Again, highly untouched. What you do see is some of the rear area. So what I'm referring to is now you can see on the south side of lot 21, you have the parking that serves the Sound Waves building will be essentially to the rear or behind the Sound Waves building, as opposed to traveling more east into what feels like now, or what is now proposed to be the Corrado's, or the existing lot 20, or the new proposed parking lot. Access will stay the same. You still have your access off of Route 46. There is a loading striped area at the rear. That all remains the same, and we are proposing a dumpster at the rear as well. Just for purposes of the record, do want to go through some of the existing nonconformities that we are proposing to maintain. So from a lot criteria, the lot is required to have a 200-foot frontage. We are proposing to maintain the 99.9 feet that exists today. From a minimum side yard building setback, the requirement per your code is 25 feet. For one side yard, 50 feet for both side yards. We're proposing to maintain the 15.3 feet for one side yard and 39.5 feet for both side yards. From a minimum gross floor area, code requires 10,000 square feet, and we are proposing to maintain the 4,053 square foot existing building. We are now proposing that dumpster, as I had mentioned, at the rear of the site. We are proposing a setback variance for that, where the code requires 10 foot to the rear lot line. We are proposing a 4.5 foot proposed setback.
Joe, just real quick.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay. I know one of the comment letters had flagged whether that was 4.6 or 4.5 feet. Which is it?
Yeah, so 4.5.
Okay, great.
Feet.
Thank you.
Yep. From a impervious coverage perspective, the code requires 55%. We are proposing to actually reduce from the 74.95% existing to 72.88%. However, that's still over the 55%, so noting that as a proposed variance. From a parking perspective, the code requires 21 parking spaces based on the calculations of the size of the building. We are proposing 19, which I'll say is what the site has existing, but since we are reconfiguring, we are calling that a proposed variance. From a parking space size perspective, we are proposing 9 by 18, which is fairly typical for uses such as this, where I know the code requires 10 by 20. But again, trying to get really twofold, get that dumpster in there, or the trash enclosure in there to be utilized, but also reducing the impervious, so we are using that smaller 9 foot by 18 foot proposed parking space. And then from a side yard setback for the parking, the code requires 10 feet. There is a 1.5 foot setback for parking and drive aisles to the west side of the property, which we are not touching, so that is proposing to remain. However, just for clarity, the proposed parking that we are having at the rear of the site will be 3.4 feet from the shared lot line to lot 20, so we are going to call that as a variance as well. So I wanted to start with lot 21, so I'll leave that there, and we'll move on to lot 20, which essentially is the majority of the improvements tonight. So for this proposed application, we are proposing to remove all the site features, specifically the Corrado's building, again, that plus or minus 11,000, 12,000 square foot building. All the site amenities as well as the items in the back, which is the shed, some of that storage area that is along Fairfield Road. In its place, we're proposing a 21,559 square foot building. Your plans, you might notice, say 21,671 square feet, so a slight discrepancy, but just as the architectural plans are being finalized, that is the latest internal building square footage, is that 21,559 square feet that we are proposing. You can also see the site has parking associated, landscaping, striping, lighting. I'll get into all those details, but that is what the application is a total rebuild of that new lot after the land swap. So from a lot criteria perspective, similarly to lot 21, we do want to note a couple things with regard to the lot. Based on the code, we are required to have a 300-foot lot width. We are proposing to maintain the 250-foot. From a lot area perspective, we are maintaining the 2.89 acres proposed for this site, whereas 3 acres is permitted per the code. So moving on to access, we do maintain the access off of Route 46. As you can see, the rendering does stop a little bit before, so right after the right-of-way line, but a little bit before the existing curb cut onto Route 46. That was done purposely to show that we are maintaining that curb cut, the right in, right out access from Route 46. We are in the midst of going through the necessary approvals from the DOT perspective, but we are generally maintaining where that access point is. Secondary access, or the second access, would be off of Fairfield Road. Again, similarly, going through the county approval process for that. But we are proposing generally the same location, just so we can maintain where the striping is from a county perspective. There's a driveway across the way, so wanted to maintain the location generally speaking, but did tweak the geometry of the driveway slightly, and again, going through the necessary approvals there. From a circulation perspective, you'll see a majority of the west side of the building is two-way circulation with 90-degree parking associated with it. And then on the east and north side of the building, you do have one-way circulation, right? So that's a function of the end cap user, which we are proposing to be a drive-through right now. One of the, right now, anticipating to be 9 tenants of this building, which our architect can get into a little more detail. But with the end cap closest to Highway 46, we are looking for that to be a drive-through. So we are proposing that drive-through lane, essentially at the rear or at the east side of the building, as well as the bypass. So those lanes are both 12-foot. According to section 4519.5B, we are required to have 15-foot one-way drive aisles. However, we are requesting a variance for the 2 lanes. As you can see, there's really no obstruction in these 2, and the 12-foot are generally pretty typical for a drive-through of this use. So we are requesting a variance for that. The 15-foot is typically with, parking associated with it, but again, per the code, we are proposing the 12-foot aisle as a minimum, so we are requesting that variance. From a parking perspective, as I had briefly noted, we're anticipating 9 units within this building, right? So we are anticipating right now a number of seats in case there are restaurants. So all the units will have the permitted uses per the code, right, per the zone in this code. However, we don't know the exact tenants, so we've made assumptions in terms of the number of seats. Right now, we're assuming 102 seats, and the remaining 15,000 plus or minus square footage to be retail. So by that math, we are required to have 110 parking spaces on the site. We are currently proposing 111. For those spaces, similar to lot 21, we are proposing a smaller 9-foot by 18-foot parking space versus what's required per the code, which is 10-foot by 20. But again, very typical for this type of use, building and just general retail establishments. From a front yard setback with regard to the parking, we are proposing a 20-foot setback. That's from the bypass aisle, the 15-foot bypass aisle, to the front yard along Route 46. It is important to note that under existing conditions, the drive aisles within the site actually encroached over that property line, so we are trying to make that a lot better. Add the buffering that you can see between that bypass to the right-of-way and to Route 46. But instead of the required 30 feet, we are proposing 20 feet. So looking to request that variance as well. From a loading perspective, we are required to have 1 loading space at 12-foot by 60-foot. As you can see at the rear, we do have that long yellow striped area, which is about 206 feet long. That'll be utilized generally by the units to be able to load back there. From an operational standpoint, again, we don't have set tenants, but we are expecting smaller units to have a box truck be able to traverse around the rear, utilize that area at off-peak times, and then be able to traverse around the site to exit. From a trash perspective, we are proposing 3 enclosures. 2 are located at the southeast corner of the site along Fairfield, and 1 is located closer to the northwest along the shared property line and near the building of Lot 21. For a total of 3 enclosures. So with all those improvements, we are proposing a slight increase to the impervious coverage on the site by about 6,200 square feet, plus or minus, or 0.14 acres. Also important to note that with the reduction of Lot 21, the total increase is 5,740 square feet. And again, doing what we can in terms of the parking to reduce the parking space size, but also attenuating that additional square footage through stormwater infrastructure on site. I can get into a little more detail on that as well. From a signage perspective, we are proposing 2 ground signs or monument signs. 1 is located on the north side for Route 46. It's on the west side of the access. And the other is located on the south. It's also on the west side of the access for Fairfield Road. The code does permit 1, however, we do have the 2 frontages, so we are asking for the variance for having the second sign. Also, from a area perspective, code permits 35 square feet. We're proposing 72 square feet, again, just based on it being within Route 46, a little higher travel speed. So having a larger sign to occupy for the 9 tenants that we're currently anticipating. Lastly, with regard to the ground signs, we are proposing 0-foot clearance from the bottom of the sign to the ground, essentially meaning that it is a monument sign, so it's just the type of sign that we are proposing, as opposed to 10-foot clearance, right? Which is from the bottom of the sign to the ground. That 10-foot clearance is usually for a pylon sign, or you may hear it called as a lollipop sign. It's when you have the post and the bottom of the sign would be 10 feet from there. However, just based on the configuration of the lot and the setback of the actual roadway from the right-of-way, generally that's for site distances. So we do have plenty of site distance in terms of what you can see when the driver is set back from the actual roadway, because the sign is set back, again, far from the actual road itself. From a building sign perspective, we, again, have those 9 tenants, so we are proposing 1 sign per tenant. However, we are requesting a variance for 2 additional signs. The idea being that, similar to other users along the corridor, we do have frontage, we'll call it, on the sides of the 2 buildings, 1 for Fairfield and 1 for Route 46. So that would be a total of 11 signs. So the 2 end caps would have 2 signs, right? 1 on the front or the west facade, 1 on the north facade for the northern end cap, and 1 on the south facade for the southern end cap. Our architect does have a lot more detail when it comes to the look of the signs and a lot more of the size, all that stuff, but I can let him get into a little further detail on that as well. So I touched on stormwater slightly. We do have a fairly large stormwater system on site. It will be underground and it will meet all NJDEP criteria. We are going through NJDEP permitting right now, and coincidentally enough, today we did receive approval for the verification, the individual permit, as well as having it go through the stormwater management review. So that is currently approved and we're going through the final paperwork there. But the idea is that we're going to collect via a series of inlets on the site. It will go into a underground stormwater basin and then out to the discharge points. Now for landscaping and lighting, you can see there's a lot of landscaping on this plan, so we wanted to propose a lot of landscaping. We do have a total of about 1,500 plantings on site with a good mixture of lots. So we have about 33 canopy trees, 22 evergreen trees, around 500 shrubs, and then let's call it 950 to 1,000 grasses, perennials, things of the nature. From a code compliance standpoint, for the landscaping, we are fully code compliant. We are going to ask for 1 change here. We had been going through and noticed, I believe it's code section 45-35.52B. It does make reference to trees and their visibility or hindering visibility of motorists along Route 46 or other roadways, specifically to the building, in order to be able to see that. So the request tonight, and we can work on this should the board look favorably upon this approval, we can work with your professionals, but the request is to essentially, we have 2 trees here on the northern, I'll call it on the northern side of the site, northwestern side. 2 canopy trees, as well as 2 additional canopy trees in the grass island between the 12-foot drive-through lane and the 15-foot bypass lane. The idea is we don't want to remove those trees completely. We do want to maintain the calculations that are required. So the ask tonight would be to move the trees elsewhere on the site. So again, to allow motorists, motor vehicles that are traveling eastbound on Route 46 to be able to have a better line of sight to the northern facade of the building, the corner, the monument sign that's on the west side of that access point to Route 46. So again, right now what we're contemplating is along the west property line. There are grass areas that we'd like to replace and just replant, so to speak, move those trees to that grass strip. Again, just to help with the visibility. So that is not on your plans, not on the handouts either, but that is a request for tonight. From a lighting perspective, we do propose 20 area lights as well as 7 wall-mounted lights. In terms of code compliance, we are generally compliant with everything except for maximum foot candles at property lines. The code requires 0.3 foot candles. We are proposing a maximum of 1.4 foot candles. Those maximums generally and the overages generally occur at the property lines at the 2 entrance points. Just from our perspective, we do want to keep slightly higher foot candles at the entrance for vehicles traveling in and out, during nighttime, as well as in the shared parking lot. We'll call it a shared parking lot, but along the shared property line between the 2 parking lots, we do have a couple area lights there that are essentially serving both parking lots, but along that property line, we are proposing that 1.4 foot candle maximum, so hence the reason for the variance request. The last thing I will note from a dumpster perspective or a trash enclosure perspective, I believe the engineer had brought up that the dumpsters are in the front yard, meaning that they are between, while they're not in the front yard setback, they are between the face of the building to the roadway. So we do have the enclosures there. However, they are in enclosures and they are landscaped, right? So we do have evergreen shrubs surrounding all 3 of the enclosures. Also worth noting that for the Fairfield, there is a good amount of grade change, probably about 5 to 7 feet, that goes up from the dumpster or from the drive aisle. And the enclosure is, we'll say, limits visibility to the enclosure because of that grade up. So if you can picture it, you're high, the grading here does help along with the evergreen shrubs that are planted around it. That concludes my direct.
Yeah, well, hang on. Don't jump the gun. All right, so Joe, we're in receipt of, as I'd mentioned at the outset, 4 review letters, right?
Yes.
And I'm just gonna walk through a couple of things that were in them that is just to fulfilling the record here.
Sure.
The Traffic Safety Bureau report, which is dated September 2nd, identifies a few things. One is, and I think you were just kind of talking about it, the locations of the dumpsters.
Correct.
And particularly the Traffic Safety Bureau had suggested, could we relocate the dumpster that's to the north and relocate that closer to the dumpster to the southwest side of the parking lot nearest to Fairfield Road?
So I think the idea is we did read this and we did look at this as a team. Did try to reach out, wasn't able to get a hold of Sergeant Nemiak, but the idea is right now I think what he was looking at was based on the enclosure location and the truck that is going to be servicing it. We were assuming a front-loaded garbage truck. However, from a garbage perspective, that is just based on a private hauler. So there is a little, I'll say, flexibility or ability to dictate what that can be. But right now, we showed the truck going forward or going west into the enclosure, picking up and backing in a, I'll say, in a northerly direction, and then leaving via Fairfield. So I think that was the conflict point that was being brought up. So we would like to work with traffic safety to be able to, first, we would like to rotate, just based on the site layout. Having all 3 enclosures at the one side might be a little difficult, and just, having folks go all the way down here. We just don't want things to happen and not have an enclosure close to, or in close proximity to all the units. So the idea is we want to work with the Traffic Safety Bureau to see if we can rotate that so that it's facing more of an easterly direction and have the truck back this way or southerly closer to Fairfield to then leave via Route 46. Should that not be the case, we will work with the professional to have the enclosure be where we want to be, but I just wanted to make that clarification for the board. That was going to be our initial step. Keep the enclosure generally where it is. It's shielded by the building in terms of visibility. Again, the landscaping, so keep it where it is, but if we need to relocate it more towards Fairfield Avenue, we can, or Fairfield Road, we can work with the traffic safety department on that.
Nice. There were two other comments in the letter I just want to touch on. One is the clear visibility coming out of the drive aisle. Just, I think it was internal circulation. There was some concern about the ability to make that left, just coming off the drive-through, and a request for just like a slow or proceed slowly out of the drive-through. That's something that the applicant's amenable to.
Correct, yes, we can add signage if needed. One of the things we wanted to work on with the traffic safety is that generally speaking, the landscaping in an application like this is going to be low-lying. We have notes on our plans, and in terms of the maintenance, these plantings are not meant to grow more than 1.5 feet, 2 feet. Again, to help with that site visibility, looking both ways, trying to exit that drive-through area and make the left or the right internally into the site. But again, happy to work with the Traffic Safety Bureau.
Great. And the one other comment was the parking and security cameras, requesting that those be in place. Any issue with the applicant complying there?
No, spoke with the applicant, and that is fine.
All right. Then we've got the fire department's report, which I don't believe there was anything we needed to discuss in there, and we can work with that. Approved as noted. And then Mr. Burry's report. There were a couple of things in here that I know we had you had asked for certain things of the applicant. I think Mr. Burry, with regard to proposed conditions and whatnot. Was there anything in here, Joe, that was of anything we couldn't comply with in the letter?
Nope, generally seems to all make sense, and Mr. Burr, if you have any direct questions, happy to go through it, but I know we had caught up a little bit before this as well.
Good. And then Ms. Fahey's letter, I don't think is for you.
It did bring up the one dimensional,
What I
yep,
thought. Yep. So,
gotcha.
okay, good. Then at that point, your direct's
Now,
done. We'll hand it to the chairman.
At this time, do we have any questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. You calculated a ballpark 110 seats for the building. And you said there's a food services or something on the corner of the property, correct? How many seats are you allocating to that and then giving to the rest of the units?
I can probably have the architect look at that a little more, and just to clarify, it's 102 seats is what was anticipated for the entire development, right? So I'm not sure that we know exactly, but the seats is what's important. The 102 plus the remaining square footage is what led to 110 required parking spaces, right? And really what we know right now is the end cap being the drive-through is anticipated to be requiring the calculation to deal with seats.
Inside?
Correct.
And you don't know if there are other units that are gonna need seating?
Correct. The tenants we don't have the tenants yet, so.
Do we have the end cap tenant?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't
I don't
think the
believe we
drive-through
have that.
tenant's been locked up yet, no.
Correct.
Okay, do we know who we're dealing with?
We know generally that we've been looking at some kind of either fast food restaurant or, fast grab, kind of entity that would use a drive-through. That's about the extent I know of the leasing side of things.
And nobody in particular at this point?
Nobody in particular at this point.
And that goes for both end caps?
I believe the opposite impact. The opposite, yeah. Let me ask a birdie. He'll get you an answer real quick.
That's a whole different animal.
They don't have the seating. They don't have a drive-through on the first floor.
No, Parsippany is dead. They overbuilt it.
Okay. So really quick, the birdie told me that the southern end here is under lease with an entity called Pink Pistachio. It's a breakfast outfit. And then on the northern end, it is not an entity that has multiple drive-throughs and chicken service. So don't worry about that.
Has no No chickens?
You will not eat more chicken at this place.
I don't think we can eat more. We got Raising Cane across the street.
There you go. Well, that's not here, so you're good.
Next question.
Sure.
On this drive-through lane.
Mhm.
If you look at your traffic flow, I'm wondering if there's a way to have the stacking lane and the bypass lane configured so they can only make a right-hand turn and exit onto Route 46. Because up the road about 100 yards or so, you have a signalized traffic where you can get back onto Fairfield Road. I'm just very concerned about the traffic coming out of here, grabbing their food, and flying through this parking lot, and everybody's crossing the parking lot because the majority of the parking is on the other side. The other thing, while you're thinking about that, you said that you're generally keeping the exit on Fairfield Road in the same area, which means you're moving it. That's what generally means, am I correct?
It's in the same spot. When I said
But we're not
generally
moving it, or we
reconfiguring, it's
generally are?
generally reconfiguring in terms of like widening it or just changing maybe the angle of it, but the curb cut is in the same spot.
So is there any way to straighten it so that you don't have that curved area with the extended sidewalk at the other end? To
So-
actually move it a few feet so that it becomes straighter?
Yeah, so we did have some initial.
Reduces the impervious coverage a little bit?
We did have some initial concepts with that, but the reason for that is exactly that, is having the driveway be in the same location, because there is additional striping and whatnot, so it does line up with the county, and it was part of the county approval process that we did keep it in the same spot. Again, not to disrupt just what's happening in the roadway as well.
What's happening in the roadway? I'm sorry.
There's just existing striping with some of the left turn lanes and whatnot, and then there's a driveway across the way for the church, I believe, that is aligned, so we're looking to keep that alignment.
For what reason?
The
The
just
church?
part of the county approval.
The county
Process.
doesn't like having
Too many
chunky-
like
chunky
access
intersections.
points.
They're like, if you're gonna have.
Well, it's not an intersection.
No, I know. They don't like seeing multiple curb cuts stacked up at varying angles. If you've got an aligned curb cut, generally the county says, hey, keep them lined up. If that's something the board's not interested in, we can, push back on them, but that's something that they told us was kind of leave it where it is. Because I have the same concern, frankly, Mr.
Yeah, I
Gasparini.
I really think it should be aligned, to be honest with you.
There's just the straight shot all the way through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it throws off everything in there. You got angled parking, you got more, I don't even know how wide this, I'm assuming these are pavers, how wide that is all the way out there. It just seems like a lot more than necessary. Unless, of course, you're thinking about putting outside dining there, which was gonna be my third question.
There is some actually, I think it's to the southern side of the building, right? It's not out in that front area.
In
Chuck, am I correct?
Pinky's,
Huh?
what was the name of that place? Pinky's Breakfast?
Pink pistachio?
Pink Pistachio, is that where we're talking about maybe putting outside dining?
Yeah.
Okay, did you calculate that into your parking?
That's assumed as part of the seat count, as part of the 102, correct? So,
It is calculated in there.
correct. So any mixture of seating, we're gonna hit that 102 is what the assumption was based on that, so it would include outside seating as well.
Okay, when you say any mixture, are you talking about, let's say, for instance, you have 30 seats inside, but now you're gonna go outside, so you're gonna have 20 inside, and you're gonna move 10 outside?
Correct. We would
So
both
we
would
have
be-
to constantly send somebody over there to count seats, is that what you're saying, instead of just calculating in the extra seating? In other words, we gotta police this thing, right?
No, you wouldn't have to. I think actually Mr. Burry makes what's a pretty common obligation, which is we tell you how many seats there are gonna be in the place, and we make sure, listen, this is the number of seats and the number of parking spaces that have to be compliant within the retail facility. That's something we're pretty used to in shopping center land, is, whenever you got multiple tenants, somebody's gotta come back and say, hey, by the way, this much square footage is being leased, it's this number of parking spaces under your code.
Right, but you're telling me right now that you're probably gonna have outside seating.
Yeah.
And you calculated those tables in?
That's what he said 3 times now, yeah.
Correct, part of the 102 seats
Okay.
that are anticipated, yep.
So if another tenant would come in that wanted to put, let's make for argument's sake, a pizzeria.
Yep.
And you didn't have enough seating, that would exclude that pizzeria to have seating.
And kind of to the point, the idea is you're setting a number of parking spaces for the center. Sorry, yeah, that's on. You're setting a number of parking spaces for the center based on anticipated uses, right? So you're saying, okay, we'll have 102 parking spaces, whether it's pizzerias, retail, pink pistachio, whatever it might be, right? If you get to a point where you've now said, based on the mix of parking spaces that are here, the mix of retail and restaurant that's here, we can no longer accommodate that. There are 2 options, right? One is don't sign that lease, or 2 is come back to the board and seek a variance. And those would be your two avenues. So we'd have to keep the board, through Mr. Burry, up to speed as to who's there and who's not, and what the rented square footages are. But that's our obligation to stay true to the conditions of the approval.
So you'll back into it because you have 110 spaces.
Right.
110
Generally.
parking spaces, and somehow you'll back into that number accordingly.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, and just so the board knows, so each time they're gonna need a CRO for each rental unit. And at each time, they're gonna have to present the use and the parking demand. And at this point, why don't you, when I'm done, just review for the board what your assumption is on how much of the space is gonna be food, restaurant, and how much is gonna be retail, and what you're at. But if they, it's basically like a bank, and once you're done, filled up, and then you're not gonna get a CRO. The unit's gonna have to sit vacant if you've already used up your parking on the use.
Correct.
So, yeah, like your assumptions now, I guess.
Yeah,
for-
so the assumption is just based on what's on the parking requirements table. We show the 15,184 square feet of retail and the 102 seats. So just doing the math, you're at about 6,000 or so, 6,500 square feet of the building will not be retail as the assumption here. So the assumption is that 6,500 would be occupied by seats for your calculation. The other 15,000 plus or minus would be in a retail, the 1 per 200 square foot calculation.
Anything else?
Anything else from the board?
Yeah, I have a question on the drive-through. You said on the east side of the building, there's going to be a lane where deliveries could be made.
Correct.
Could you explain to me how it may interfere with the drive-through and through the passing lane? And is there a barrier between the passing lane and the drive-through lane?
Sure. So a couple questions there. I'll take the barrier question first. So on the east side of the building, there are no barriers. Generally, you have your loading area, which is the striped right along the building. One over would be your 12-foot drive-through lane, which you can see the cars stacking, and then one over that. One over from there, closest to the neighboring property, would be your bypass lane, which is also 12 feet on the east side. No barrier between those 3 lanes. Now, from an operational perspective, again, we're anticipating smaller box trucks here, right, to be able to maneuver around the rear. To your point, though, however, we are expecting the deliveries to be off-peak hours. So again, without knowing the tenant, that'll be with the applicant landlord type to kind of dictate that, right? When we're expecting deliveries to the best they can, and the potential conflicts with the end cap user that has the drive-through, right? So that's the idea, that the loading will generally happen on off-peak time, especially for that end cap user.
The deliveries are going to be done through just a regular door, or is it going to be a garage door?
There are just regular doors at the
Regular
rear,
doors.
and the architect can show that facade just to see a little bit more what that looks like, but these are just regular doors in the back.
And what did you say about Jim Gasparini had said something about trying to get those to move to the right and go off of Route 46? Did he address that? and what he would do about that, or? he
No,
did
it
not?
wasn't addressed.
Yeah,
It was,
you
it
were
was,
talking out of the.
it was
out of the
thrown
dra-
out, right?
yeah.
Both of those lanes
No, I think that's fairly
being
important.
to,
Yeah, because you're right, Jim, there's gonna be a lot of movement going through that parking area.
if we can't, and, yeah, no.
So I think one answer will be, we'll have the traffic engineer come up after the architect and give you a little more color on it. But I know Joe's getting the definitive answer now.
And while you're thinking about that,
Sure.
can we nail down a delivery time?
Yeah, so we had anticipated that this would be when typically the retail spaces would be closed, is what we've talked about just internally as an operational perspective.
10 to 12 at night?
10 PM? I don't know if you're working, well, we work those hours, but I don't know
Do you
if,
have time so I can put it in the resolution?
I can, I'll ask and grab you one.
What about,
No, I was just gonna say, it may actually make sense. I know a lot of retail places I've worked with actually
what's to
prefer
keep any
mornings.
kind of a trailer truck out of there, other than operationally be able to move it?
Well, that's one of the things that when you bring a tenant in, they usually ask, hey, what can we deliver with? And most of the time, we're saying now in more and more spaces, don't bring the semis. All you're gonna be able to get in there is an SU-40 or something like that. So if it's, this has been designed, I don't believe, and I'll ask Joe, has this been designed to allow for full circulation of a semi, or are we looking just at SU-40s here?
These are box trucks, so your SU-40 would be a single unit 40-foot
So the
truck, which
answer-
is fairly typical for units this small.
So I think to answer your question, Mr. LaForgia, the answer is no.
So, just to touch on the right out only, I'll call it onto 46. So we will have our traffic engineer talk a little bit more about it. The issue that we have with that is just in terms of putting all the traffic into, especially for that NCAP user, into Route 46 and just with the DOT permitting, that might trigger just other issues with the DOT. But I did hear the comment was really just regard to making the left and having a lot of action here and maybe some speed. What if there was a potential for having like some sort of speed like halfway through to help with just slowing folks down?
I didn't even get that far, but I don't know if you've been out to the site or not.
Yeah.
You saw the size of the speed bumps that are there now?
Yeah.
Because of the issue.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have to figure out some kind of traffic calming for that drive lane,
Yeah, and we can do
cut
that
through, so to speak.
via, correct, right? and
However-
via signage, the speed hump, and again, traffic engineer can give a little more flavor as to why it may not be beneficial to send everybody to Route 46.
Well, we're not sending everybody.
Correct, the NCAP user.
We're only sending an end cap unit.
Correct,
So the
correct.
whole rest of the development can go out on Fairfield Road.
Yeah,
But
and
the end cap.
and Rihanna has a lot more of the calculations that I don't necessarily have, but that's why I'm suggesting if we can do more of the speed calming, to your point, because regardless, you're gonna have folks going through there, right? So having that maybe midway through the building, and that just being with signage, pedestrians crossing signage, which we do a lot on some of these, we'll call it like retail centers.
Yeah, I still, from a personal standpoint, I want to see the cars go out onto 46. You're going to need calming devices anyway, but the cars should exit onto 46 that are using that end cap. They're coming in, they're doing a drive-through because they're in a hurry, and they're going out. Let them go out. They can get right back on Fairfield Road if that's where they want to go. I'd rather see them out on a highway than on the local road.
That's a fair point.
And again, just with regard to the time for deliveries, and/or we can limit the closing time of that fast food restaurant. If it's not is it a 24 hour, is it a?
I'll find both of those out. when
Yeah,
we're
because
changing out witnesses
that's
and
gonna
everything.
really
Yep.
help with delivery issue.
Yep, yep. And I think the expectation very plainly has been that anything that's going back of house on the delivery side of things is going to be, those off-peak hours for the retail, but again, what's off-peak?
You
right?
got 9
Yeah, exactly.
potential
Exactly.
off-peak hours.
Yeah, yeah. So let me get some of those numbers and
Thank you.
I'll supplement the record accordingly. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
So I noticed you proposed 2 fire hydrants in the back of the building. Do you propose one in the parking lot area at all?
We do not currently. So the water line is at the rear, and we have those two. They're approximately 40 feet away from the building, but those are the two at the rear.
Do you know how close the closest municipal hydrant is to the parking lot?
I don't off the top of my head, no.
Do you know where the fire department connection's going to be?
We do not, but I did speak with Fire Marshal Joe, he said to call him. Fire Marshal Joe this morning said that he's aware of the 2 hydrants. In his letter, he did specifically ask about hydrants. He didn't see the 2. So he has the 2, he was okay with it, but he did want to work with us, should the board look favorably, to place that fire department connection where he wants it generally, instead of just, in his words, shoving it in the back.
He wants it on the front side of the building.
Yeah.
Front, or he mentioned on the short side
Corner,
on
right there.
Fairfield, correct. So we would work through that with him.
As long as there's a fire hydrant with 150 feet of the connection, it'll be fine.
Correct.
That's kind of what the code is, so
Yeah,
just
and
keep that in mind.
indicating that we can do it on the front, the back, and they could run hose for the 150 foot
Right.
is what he did mention, but he would rather have a little more say in where it goes, so we would work with him and the architect on where that could go.
So if there were a car fire and it needed to be extinguished, and the fire department has 500 gallons on the truck, where would they get the second water source from if the fire hydrants are on the opposite side of the building?
Yeah, all good points, and honestly, when it comes to that, I would defer to the fire department. So speaking about if we need a hydrant, I think what you're getting at is if we need a hydrant in this main field, we would put that if he would like one there, of course.
Any other questions from the board?
Given the traffic that this might bring with that many 9 different stores, we normally would request a new building like this to put license plate readers in for our police department. Would that be something that you would be amenable to?
Okay,
So I was gonna say, so I think the traffic bureau had, and I apologize, I'm probably not super well versed in that, but did have the request for cameras at both entrances.
Do you understand the cameras to be the LPRs, or?
I don't, and I was actually
I'm
gonna
not
ask, what's the purpose of the LPRs? This is just ignorance.
The purpose, it
Safety.
you know, it reads, it reads plates that if there's an
We're
issue.
good. Well, yeah, gladly.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
can work, you guys can work with our
Absolutely.
police department
Sure.
and,
Chief. Yep,
okay, thank you.
yep, not a problem. If nothing else, I don't wanna
Anything
jump
else from the
gun.
board? Anybody from the audience would like to address the engineer? Seeing no one, thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next up, we'll have Chuck Dietz, who will make the long trip from the back.
I have some handouts also.
Mr. Dietz, you want me to swear you in? You can give the handouts to the attorney. He did such a good job last time.
You take one and pass it down.
Or we'll do it
For
that way.
that side,
Alright.
take one and pass it down.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Dietz, if you could raise your right hand, you swear a firm testimony you're about to give before the board is the true self you got.
Yes,
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
Charles P. Dietz, D-I-E-T-Z, Managing Member of the Dietz Partnership LLC Architects.
Okay, and you're a certified architect. All your licenses are in full force and effect.
For the past 38 years, yes, sir.
Qualified either before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey.
Both in Fairfield and many other districts in the state of New Jersey.
All right, Mr. Chairman, the witness has been sworn and qualified based upon his experience and his licenses.
Thank you.
Now, Chuck, I was gonna say, you're putting something on the board here, so I wanna check. The plan you're putting up there is a plan that has been previously submitted?
These are exhibits, these have not, the board has
Okay.
not seen these.
Very good. So this will be A2. And if you can put A2 and today's date on there? And just briefly describe this?
A2 is a color rendering perspective of the retail building. If you were traveling eastbound on 46 and approaching the driveway and viewing the building.
All right, and what else we get, Chuck?
A3.
This is a mirror image, isn't it?
A3 is the view going east on Fairfield, looking at the opposite end
This
of
is
the shopping
A3.
center, or the south end. Because we do have lots of features and elements, and the outdoor seating that we have been discussed already.
Is this something
The
you
applicant
have?
wanted to show you that as well.
Chuck, did you give two different?
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
so
so,
each, there's
Okay.
14 of each, so one should be the front.
Sorry.
Oh, you didn't
That's
have the other.
perfect.
that's what happens when you let an attorney
You
hand
let
out
an attorney
documents.
play architect. See?
No.
Okay, this is.
There's.
Thank you.
I need the,
I need Fairfield.
46.
I take all the nice
I feel like I'm in Florida.
comments away from you. There you go.
Gotta be in the right place in Florida, though.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we figured that out. Check this last one that you marked A4 probably preemptively.
Yes.
That one we didn't circulate to the board yet.
No,
And we're
I
not.
don't think we need to.
Okay, good.
What A4 is my architectural sheet A3, which is always a challenge when you deal with architects and exhibit letters, is instead of bringing a box full of physical samples and materials that we're proposing for the building, we put a finished schedule and legend together, which is in compliance and coordination with the elevations that you will give it in your packet. So all those finishes have color and labels and numbers, and in the schedule, we describe the manufacturer and what the product is. And then in lieu of the samples, we've gone to the website for each of the different products, and we've taken a snapshot as best as possible and produced the actual colors of these samples and put them on the board and then label them so they match both the finished schedule and the architectural elevations that were submitted in your packets.
Great. So Chuck, if you could, let's start with A2 and just kind of walk the board through both the tenancy breakdowns that we've kind of anticipated and then, you know, what we're looking at.
Yeah, what I'd like to start with, I think, I tend to talk too much, so to keep it simple, I do beautiful renderings. So it's gonna answer a lot of questions and allow me not to have to reiterate too many things. But the first I'd like to say is I've been blessed to have been hired by this applicant now for the fourth time in probably the last 5 years to design a retail building, retail center similar to this. The other three have been approved, have been constructed, and are all fully leased, 2 in Wayne and 1 in Toms River. And what I love about working with this applicant, who I've known for many years, is he understands retail, he understands the value and the benefit of designing and producing a quality retail building, which includes high-end design or quality design, materials that are classic, traditional.
Do you want this?
I thought I was speaking loud enough.
Where?
Okay. And aesthetically pleasing and very durable products, because he wants to develop this and own it as well. So therefore, design is key and maintenance is key. And I think we've been able to provide that. I guess that's why I've been hired now for the fourth time to provide these services for his vision for these different properties. If I could just touch quickly on the design aesthetics, what we like to do as architects is take a big blank box that you saw on the civil engineer's plan that looks like a shoebox, and how do we create some excitement, some visual impact along those facades? And we do that a couple ways, both in vertical, in height, by changing elevations, as you can see throughout the building. Each segment of the building is either taller or shorter. We also do it horizontally. We bring some of the facades out a little bit onto the sidewalk to, again, create this three-dimensional shape, so you don't have a visual blank wall. And lastly, by introducing different materials throughout the facades that basically, I think, go together as a whole, but they identify each of the different pieces of the building with a different material. I like to call it an eclectic design, and I don't know if I'm kind of the first for the last 20 years talking about this. Eclectic design to me means using classic traditional materials, which we have brick, wood, stone, and stucco, but using modern day simulations of those products. So we are proposing real clay, masonry, brick, but instead of a full bed depth, 2¼ by 4 inch thick by 8 inch long brick, we're using a thin brick, which is really cut from a real clay masonry brick and installed on a panel system. And what I did to take this to the next step, to make it a little more special, as you can see, this brick is not a standard brick size. It's not 2 1/4 by 4 by 8. I'm proposing 1 5/8 high by 23 5/8 long. So I think that creates a special aesthetic along the building because it's a much longer brick. It's more than 3 times, or almost 3 times as long as a modular brick. And again, it's only 1/2 inch thick. So we thought that brought some, new design features to this project. What we've also shown is a random pattern of these warm gray bricks, just randomly that will be put into the pallets that will be integrated through this facade of the light gray brick that we're proposing as the field brick, just to break it up and give it again a little more movement, a little more feeling, and a little more aesthetic. The second material, stone. This is not stone that's quarried in a mine or in a mountain that you're gonna take and you're gonna come out and you're gonna stick it on the building. Again, it's a simulated stone. Most of these now are made by precasters or concrete companies that have figured out a formula to give you the texture, the color, and the identity that really looks like real stone. All these stones, again, will be thin, maybe 1 1/4 inch deep, adhered to the building, but they also will be in different sizes. They'll be tall, long, and they'll actually undulate inside. Some might stick out 2 inches, some might only stick out 3/4. So it gives you the appearance of real quarried mined stone. And we've used this a lot. There's a lot of manufacturers. We've picked one of the ones we've used the most, and they come up with a warm gray pattern that we're proposing for the building there. The most unique one is wood, okay? Wood is subject to rot, wood is subject to being painted or stained over and over and over on the durability and the life expectancy of a center like this. We found a product a couple years ago called Longboard, and it's actually a pre-finished aluminum product that they can make in a solid color or they can make in a wood grain of about 15 to 20 different woods. So you can get all the wood species, beech, redwood, whatever you want. They can make it whatever we select. And they become such a popular product in the marketplace, which I've just found is on their website. The New Jersey Highway Authority, both Parkway and Turnpike, have now used this product on all of their brand new rest stops along the road system. And in their website, they actually have the picture of the Whitney Houston rest stop, which is in Union at the old 142 exit there. And it's all along the Turnpike and the Parkway. So this is a very durable, very well-versed product. I think it gives you the long-lasting appearance because like storefront and windows, aluminum, it's pre-finished in the factory. So you don't have to come out and paint it. You don't have to maintain it. You're gonna get probably a 20-year warranty on this finish. So there helps, again, the durability. And we're using that in 2 manners. A plank that looks like siding with the wood, which you see here in the horizontals. And then for some blank areas, we got a little fancy and we came up with what they call a screening system, which will actually have 3 colors integrated into a plank on a vertical batten system that you'll actually see through to the back wall behind it, which will have a membrane and a water barrier, so then the water will get in the building, but it just gives you a variation again, and I could show you an example of that. I have a picture of that. It just gives you a different look and feel. Lastly, stucco, right? Everybody knows stucco. Stucco's been around for hundreds of years. We don't like to use metal lath and stucco. It's durable, but it's just not, it's time consuming and it's expensive. And now we have the synthetic stuccos of the world that everybody's familiar with, the Dryvits, the Decoplast. But again, I don't use those products below 10 feet. So again, they may not be as durable as the other products, but I only design them in elements that are from the storefront 10 feet and above. So you get to have the look, the aesthetic look, the color, the cornices, the trim, but they're not down on the ground area where they're gonna take abuse from patrons, kids, whatever, vandals. You're not gonna have that problem on these types of products when you put them at 10 feet and above. And lastly, my buildings like to have the 3 classic features. A base, which I'm proposing, all the piers, all these elements have a separate base of a masonry product of a different color that goes to a certain height. That anchors the buildings to the ground. Then you have your main body, which will encompass the signage, the storefront, the decorative canopies, the vinyl awnings, and that you can see, and we have those at varying heights with various materials. And then at each of those elements, no matter how tall or how short they are, we've put a pretty substantial cornice or cap on top of it. So it identifies this is the top of the building, this is where the building ends. And you can see at a couple of the towers, we have a flat expanding metal cornice at the top. Here, we have a curved radius top on the end cap where the drive-through is going. And then the smaller retailers, we have just a regular flat metal cornice, but deeper than what you usually see. So we actually want to accentuate our copings, our caps, our cornices, because it's all part of an integrated design for the entire building and the entire facade. And what I also love about this applicant, when he understands the value added he gets when he goes and leases these properties, he adds certain amenities. What we're proposing, to identify each of the tenant entrances, we have decorative pavers in front of the glass and the doors, only in those areas. So when you're walking, you understand this is a pathway into the entrance to the store. At each of my blank pilasters between each of the tenant spaces, he provides decorative planters that will be filled with annuals and perennials, which always look nice. We have them on all 3 centers that I've developed or designed for him previously. They all still look great. I've been by all of them because they're, I have other projects near there. So I think that's a nice feature. We have decorative wall sconces, the decorative lightings along the sidewalk area. What I've added this year to this project that we have at Anywhere Else, because we had a big blank area, I've added a decorative clock. So that again, to the public who's not looking at their cell phone, hard to believe, but they want to know what time it is, we'll actually have a functioning electric clock on the end building above the signs. And then lastly, this is a new perk that we haven't done before. We've introduced in a couple areas the pergolas. So those will be some type of wood and vinyl framing system just to create something special over a couple of the buildings. And we're proposing to have some landscape ivy or something that will grow over the years throughout the pergolas. And then again, if you look at A3, the biggest pergola actually is almost like a semi-covering for the outdoor dining on the south facade. That has the largest pergola, and that's what we're proposing. We have pavers on the ground, which identifies where the seating will be, and also identified underneath of these pergolas. It's not a full rain cover, but at least between how much density of landscaping and ivy they get on it, it at least protect for sunshade, because it is facing south, to allow the patrons to, be able to sit there. What's not shown in the rendering, and we've done this before, and I know it's a mandate in most towns, anytime you have outdoor dining, you want to protect those patrons from vehicular traffic. So she didn't put them in the rendering, but they're on my black and white drawings in your package. We have serious bollards spaced all along the areas by the curb, back behind the curb, that will protect any patrons from any cars that maybe put it in gear the wrong direction or run the curb a little bit when they're going around the turn. They are decorative in nature, but they're also hollow and concrete filled down to about a 3'6" or 4' depth with concrete going all the way down. So they look nice, they're decorative, but they're actually structural, and they will impede a regular car. If a car decides to sway a little bit, go up the curb, or get too close, it will, alert them that they're getting too close and will do some damage to your car, and it will protect the patrons. So these are some of the same features that we've been able to incorporate on all the projects that I've been lucky enough to be involved with. They've all come out beautiful. Most of them are, or if not all of them, are fully leased to this day. Like I said, the oldest one is probably right during COVID it was built, and then the next 2 were thereafter, and the last one just opened about a year ago. So I think this is something for the client to bring out into the marketplace, to be able to draw the type of tenants that I think this town would like to have and the applicant would like to have. We've given them the flexibility in our plan to have as many as 9. We're not saying they're going to be 9, so I know we all talked about that today, that there's going to be 9 tenants. That's not locked in. I'm thinking 9 is the maximum number of tenants. If you saw on our plan, and if you look at the black and whites, we showed dotted lines for proposed 9 tenants, but who's to say this guy might want both spaces? So what we're basically saying is the flexibility, maximum of 9, But if he finds a couple tenants that might want a few more square feet, these walls can adjust on the smaller, thinner, narrower tenants, and they might be 1.5 or a full 2 bays. So again, it doesn't change your parking, it doesn't change the use you're gonna put in there, it just changes the configuration, and I think I've designed enough flexibility in the elevations that if that happens, that I can combine or take away some demising walls, I could still get the proper signage in front of the doors and identify each of those tenants. So I just wanted that because I know everybody harped on that 9 number. Let's just say that's gonna be the maximum number of tenants you would get in this building for a feasible layout. And again, my drawing kind of matches the civil. There's the loading area that Joe described. Again, usually, and again, this will depend on your fire official, we would normally put the fire department connection here, but that's at the back right. If again, the fire marshal sees fit that it needs to go somewhere else, we'll work with him and hopefully not put it on the front, but maybe to the front corner in front of that drive-through along that blank wall there. But between Joe's office and my office and your fire department, we'll work with him on that. But again, it shows the decorative pavers with a decoration for the pilasters, the planters, the pergolas, and all the amenities that are not necessarily you see in every type of shopping center. And that's why I'm proud to be this applicant's architect, because he sees the benefit and allows me to go that little extra for quality of design and the amenities that we can provide to the tenants and you, the municipality. We spoke about signage. If you go to my sheet A2, which is in your packet, as we said, for now, we're designing to the maximum 9 tenants. So each tenant would have a conforming facade sign based on your ordinance requirements. And my drawing shows you how many square feet each demised premises would be, what the percentage you're allowed in area for signage based on your ordinance. And we've identified that all across these elevations. So my drawings are saying if a tenant comes and they want something different, they would have to come back before you. But right now, we're proposing 9 facade sides along the western elevation that are conforming. And again, as Joe mentioned, because we have 2, it's a unique center in the fact that the long face is not parallel to Route 46 or Fairfield. It's actually perpendicular. So you're really seeing these elevations in tenant spaces on a skew, kind of like the rendering did. So what we've seen in other municipalities, if you have 2 frontages on 2 streets, you allow that end tenant and the end tenant only, which would be the southern tenant, to have 1 extra sign, the same conforming size on his side elevation, and then the drive-through tenant as well facing 46. So he would have a sign that actually directly faces right out to Route 46. But again, they would all be conforming per your ordinance standards. We've also proposed, and this is gonna be a first, the monument sign. And every time I do a shopping center, and I've probably done 250, 300 shopping centers in my career, is how do we come up with a new creative way to create and identify a shopping center with either a pylon or a monument sign? So what we're proposing is we fell in love with this longboard metal/wood product, and we've developed the base of the sign to be the masonry, to be that brick. So it's durable, you know, down on the ground, if you're mowing the lawn or kids running around, that's durable. And we're proposing the address of the shopping center to be at that base. And then at the top, we're proposing this metal veneer, which is along the top of the curved piece. We would have the name of the shopping center, and they're proposing Fairfield Marketplace. And then what we're proposing for each of the tenants is the aluminum slat system to actually, I only have one, but I can show you as we blew it up nice and big. You can hang your illuminated tenant signs off of the slat system, which mirrors what's going on in the building. So I thought this was kind of a cool, unique way to do it. So mine would be vertical, like you see. So all these tenant signs would be clipped to these slats, and then everything's LED, so the wiring is very simple and very minor. They could be backfed, and basically you unclip it when you get a new tenant and you put a new sign in its place. So as Joe mentioned, we're looking for a little more square footage. I think we have 72 square feet versus the ordinance requirement of 25 or 35 square feet. But again, architecturally, I think it's stunning. It's certainly in design features of everything that's going on the facade of the buildings. And it's something that you won't see probably anywhere else on Route 46 unless someone copies Longboard somewhere else. So I think it gives you that unique feature, a design aesthetic, and something that the town and the applicant can be proud of, and an opportunity to do something very interesting.
I got one more thing for you, Chuck.
Sure.
The code requires any kind of exterior mounted electrical equipment or mechanical equipment, obviously to be structurally screened or architecturally screened in some way.
Yes.
Can you touch on that very briefly?
My last paragraph of all my testimony is always with my facade designs. Let's put up exhibit A2.
It's A3.
A3, based on where the tenants are going to have their units, which most likely are going to be in the middle of the building. The building has the high point at the front, the low point at the back to get the drainage off. So in the middle of the building, you're going to be below all of these facades. So we try to get all the facades tall enough so that they screen the individual units that'll be up on the roof. And again, these are small tenants. The biggest unit might be a 10-ton unit for the whatever restaurant unit we put in there. And they sit on an 18-inch curb. So they might be 4 or 5 feet in the air at the end of the day, 6 feet max. If in fact we find that if you can still see it maybe on the lower walls, on the sides, we have a third-party screening system. There's lots of them, but we propose something called Invisor. It was invented for Wendy's probably 25, 30 years ago. And it's a system that doesn't have to penetrate the roof. It sits on top of the units. They know every unit that's made in America. They put the access panel where that unit needs the access panel. It's clipped to the top. It comes in lots of different colors. It's metal. Comes in, looks almost like a siding. And we propose where we need to have these types of screening systems where we think you might see something on the side. So maybe it doesn't have to go around all 4 sides because it's screened in the front, but maybe you could see it here. We'd maybe make an L out of it or a U to screen it from the lower parapet walls on either side. So as I do in all my testimony, we will provide the necessary screening of any mechanical equipment. And like I said, the good news is this isn't a grocery store. There's no big refrigeration units. These are all small to low size rooftop units that stick up maybe 5 feet above the roof sitting on a curb. So we will take care of that and meet your ordinance requirements.
All yours, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any questions for the architect?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a question about one of your renditions that you had there. You said that the stucco would not be 10 feet, or below 10 feet, but it's.
Well, we have one area.
When you look at behind the pergola there in the middle, that beige and tan look low.
We do have one area, so that would be done with the reinforcing mesh. The manufacturers make a special reinforcing mesh when it gets below 10 feet. So we would make sure we would have our plywood and then the reinforcing mesh and then the stucco below that to be taken care
And I
of.
think again on the corner tenant.
Yeah, we have probably 2 spots, these tower legs that come down. But they do have a base, so the first 2 feet or so would be masonry. So they don't actually ever touch the ground, but they would come to within, say, 2 feet of the ground versus the 10-foot line.
So
So
it'll
the
look-
few areas we would make sure we would specify that special,
The picture would represent the actual.
correct.
What color are the bollards?
What color would you like them? I usually do them black.
No, listen, you're the guy.
I do them
From what I
black.
hear, you're the guy.
We have black as our main metal feature, so they would be black in my mind.
That's what I would have picked too, but I figured, let me throw it to you.
You're
You're
reading
the
my
expert.
mind. There you go.
Well, I mean, it is the pink pistachio, so.
No, you couldn't.
We won't let them put pink on them.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So in the prior professional's testimony, he spoke about outside dining on the one side of the building, but the rendering shows outside dining in the front as well. Is that just to make everyone feel warm and fuzzy, or is that intent?
No, if we actually, and again, it's all counted based on his seating. We don't show the number of tables, but we're offering an option to another quick serve restaurant use, the ability, as long as we stay and maintain the parking and the ratio for seating, we might have 2 tables out there, or 4, so there's 8 people maybe. So the applicant is giving the tenants the option We just don't know if any of them are gonna take it, or if there's gonna be any other, style restaurants in the middle of the shopping center. But we've provided that ability to have it. But again, we're mandated and we're bound by the 110 spaces, the ratio for retail and restaurant. And again, the applicant knows he can't exceed that number. If he does, he comes back for a variance, or you tell him they can't have any more outdoor dining.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, any questions from the audience for the architect? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, everyone.
Next up, we've got Rihanna Kirchhoff, who's our traffic engineer. And Rihanna, do you have any exhibit you want up?
Ma'am, if you want to come forward. Raise your right hand. You swear a firm testimony about to give before the board is yourself you got.
I do.
And for the record, state and spell your name, please.
Rihanna Kirchhoff, Kirchhoff.
Okay, and you're a licensed engineer. Your specific license is in traffic.
That's correct.
And that'll be your testimony. All your licenses are in full force and effect.
That is
And you've
correct.
provided testimony either before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey.
Not before this board, but other boards, yes.
You've been qualified in those other boards. Mr. Chairman, the witness has been sworn and also based upon her credentials.
Thank you.
she's qualified.
Thank you, Mr. King. Rihanna, just for background, you've produced a traffic impact analysis for the board that was submitted as part of the application. I believe it's dated June 11th of 2025. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And the testimony you'll be giving this evening is based principally on the findings therein, correct?
That is correct.
Great. Then I will let you run.
Okay. You've all heard of the orientation of the site, the location where you front Route 46 has 2 lanes in the eastbound direction, and to the southern frontage, we front Fairfield Road, which has 1 lane in each direction, separated by a 2-way center left turn lane. As part of our traffic study that we prepared, to assess and determine the traffic generation for the proposed use, our office referred to the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual. At the time that we prepared the study, that was in its 11th edition. Using the trip generation rates in the 11th edition, coupled with DOT's methodologies for internal capture and pass-by credits, we calculated the new and pass-by trips for the site. And pass-by trips are type of trips that are already on the roadway but are attracted to the site based on what the site has to offer. Any type of establishment with a drive-through is termed a convenience use. They tend to drive more traffic that's already on the road. So that's one of the big benefits here. Based on this end cap on the northern end of the building, it's going to be a driver of traffic that's already on the roadway network. Let me back up for a minute. Also, as part of our study, we conducted traffic counts during the weekday morning, weekday evening, and Saturday midday peak periods. Those counts were done in May of this year under typical traffic conditions, mainly that schools were still in session. So we used that data in addition to the projections developed with ITE to determine a future build-out traffic generation and volume projections for the roadway. And then what we do is we prepare a capacity analysis. So we evaluate the roadway's ability to handle the traffic generated by the site. And what we determined is that let me focus on what areas we studied. We studied the intersection of Fairfield Road and New Dutch Lane at that intersection with the McDonald's driveway. That is the closest signalized intersection, as well as we studied the amount of volume that's on Route 46. So as part of the study, we evaluated this with a capacity analysis, and we found that the additional traffic to the Fairfield Road intersection does not depreciate in any meaningful way, such that there's no changes or degradations in levels of service. What we observed under existing conditions would remain true under build conditions, which is the intersection would operate at level of service D or better. In addition, we we analyzed the driveway intersections, and we found those to be at acceptable levels of service. I'm going to switch my focus to just internal circulation and access. As you heard, we're maintaining the access points as they are. The Route 46 driveway will remain as a right-in, right-out driveway, separated by a driveway island or pork chop. And the Fairfield Road access would remain as a full movement driveway. So the internal circulation has been designed to promote both promote safe and efficient movements for all users. That includes pedestrians, vehicles, and service vehicles. So the drive-through lane located on the east side of the building, and additionally the north side of the building, provides stacking for approximately 19 vehicles. Based on industry research, we found that drive-throughs typically see a drive-through queue of 8 or 9 vehicles. In a post-COVID world, you see that to be a little bit more around 11 to 12. COVID has kind of changed the way we all look at convenience uses and getting out of the car, so there's a little bit more of a demand for it now. But the design in front of you can accommodate that typical demand before it even begins to intersect with the parking stalls and the dumpster location to the south of the building. Like I said, the design ensures that all queuing is fully contained without any interruption in those parking maneuvers to the south of the building. And in the off chance that there is, a driver who enters the drive-through lane and would like to leave for whatever reason, we do have a 12-foot bypass lane located just to the east of the drive-through lane. The internal drive aisles are 24 feet for two-way circulation, and the parking stalls are 9 by 18. I think we've talked about the parking supply enough, so I won't go through that. But the internal circulation supports safe ingress and egress throughout the entire property to serve Route 46 and Fairfield Road. And it can efficiently process both the on-site and drive-through volumes without those two interfering in an adverse manner. And that is all I have for direct.
Okay. Then let me ask a couple of questions just to follow up here.
Sure.
You'd mentioned, first, obviously, we front both on Routes 46 and on Fairfield Road, which is County Road. So we're coordinating with both DOT and the county as to the traffic flows on and in and out of the site. Can you provide the board any update as to kind of where things stand on those permitting processes and what we're looking at?
Sure. So on the DOT front, we have submitted a major access permit application. It is currently under review with the department. But as part of that application process, we did have a pre-application meeting with the department, and those discussions did not produce anything that was any cause for concern. They understand that the driveway is going to be maintained, and they did not ask for anything, at least to this point, that suggests that a permit will not be issued.
And then any conversations that we've had with the county as well?
I cannot opine. I have not had any conversations with the county.
We keep asking. They've actually asked that depending on this board's favorable action, then they'll finalize processing, but they've given us a heads up that they don't see any issues either, just as kind of an informal, we'll process this accordingly, which I understand is Essex County's typical process. Rhianna, you'd heard the question from the administrator earlier about restrictions of internal circulation. I know you've talked a little bit about just kind of on a summary basis why the site's designed safely and why perhaps the flow-through concern that he's identified might not be an issue, and I don't know if that's something you can speak to.
Sure. So one of the reasons why this site works so well is because it fronts on these two major thoroughfares. So to limit the drive-through traffic to only serve to serve the Route 46 access, would kind of do a disservice to any of, you know, the employees, you know, who are, you know, working at those locations to the south of the site, to not allow them that ability to traverse through the site to go back to work. I agree with the concern for maybe some, you know, speeding through the site, and I think we can offer some potential solutions to help manage that. I think there's the opportunity for certainly maybe some crosswalks that certainly will disrupt, you know, just blank pavement through a site. Something like textured pavement, similar to rumble strips. It'll kind of give you an auditory reaction and cause drivers to slow down. These are some of the, I drove the site. I know there are speed bumps there now. I'm not a fan of speed bumps, especially for, you know, cases where there's emergency vehicles on site or snow removal. Those types of things don't help. But I do think that a textured pavement option and something visible like a crosswalk will help slow drivers down coming into from 46, but also serve as a visual cue for people exiting that driveway movement. I do think that because it fronts and these two roads do parallel each other, it does serve well for this type of use, and we would like the board to consider, you know, leaving that option to allow drivers to traverse through the site to go back to Fairfield Road.
I would be a little.
So, go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah, go
I
right
would
ahead.
be a little concerned if somebody was coming through the pass lane, trying to make a left, and somebody was coming out of the pickup window, trying to make a right. It's just so close together, and it just seems like it's not necessary. Even that pass-through lane, it just seems like a natural to have it go one way out to 46.
And what I don't understand is at the beginning of your comments, what does someone that works here have to do with using the drive-through lane or the bypass? They can go either way when they leave. They're parked in a parking spot someplace.
Unless they're using the drive-through. So if someone is working, you know, down New Dutch Lane in that,
Oh,
you
you're
know,
talking about it, I thought you were talking about an
Oh, God,
employee.
no, I'm
You
sorry.
said someone working here.
No, I'm so
No,
sorry.
no,
Okay.
not on the site, sorry, yeah, no.
Okay.
No, we were talking about like, if you wanted to
Yeah.
grab your pink pistachio and
All
come
right,
to work.
listen, my bad, but not really, everybody else
No,
is
no,
saying.
no,
No,
you're
no,
right,
yes,
no.
you're
Well,
absolutely right.
somebody on New
bad
Dutch could come in
communication,
and
our
out
fault.
of Fairfield
Right,
Road.
if they're on New Dutch Lane, they're going back out that way, but
Going
that's
in and out
beside
of
the point.
Fairfield Road.
I just think that it would, what I'd like to see is those two lanes configured so that you can only make a right-hand turn, you can re-landscape your island someplace, you know, further out. Maybe we have more green on 46, that's a beautiful thing too. But you can control it so that they're forced to go to the right.
And I think, you know,
And I don't think there's a detriment to it from a traffic safety standpoint.
well, it's kind of the opposite question though, right? Is it necessary from a
I,
traffic
well,
safety
I think it
perspective,
is,
right?
because I'd like to keep the majority of the cars out on a major thoroughfare than have them coming through 46 to go down this way to get back on.
And
back on.
And that may happen as a natural consequence.
may.
But I don't think you want to shut off that use. I mean, look, you got Dunkin' Donuts just down the way, PJ's Coffee right around the corner there. It's entirely possible, you know, that were that type of use, that's going to foreclose somebody from using this outlet, or potentially foreclose someone from
I'm
saying,
sorry, wait,
you know, I don't want to use this use.
just play that by me one more time.
I'm-
PJ's Coffee across the highway.
I'm saying the access, if you're going to preclude and say, hey, listen, you know, I don't want to, I only want to see these turn right, it's entirely possible some end users are going to come in and say, that's great. We don't want to lease in that environment.
We don't want to what?
Lease in that environment.
I don't think any, listen,
Listen,
this place is beautiful,
Okay.
okay? His other two places are beautiful.
they are.
And I have a place in Tom's River, so I know where his
Yep.
other place is, because they all look the same.
They do.
But I
And
don't
they're-
think anyone's gonna not,
They look great, Chuck.
no, it's beautiful, it really is. I don't think anyone's not gonna wanna lease
Okay.
in this space because somebody has to make a right when they leave,
The entrance into it is
is the key.
the key, and that comes in off of 46, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And they're traveling that way anyway, so they're going back out that way. Just throwing it out there.
Yep, no,
One of the interesting things that we learned in our data collection is, and what we did to determine how people would access the site was we counted the McDonald's driveways on Fairfield Road and on Route 46 to see how that use and how that traffic interacts. And what we found, surprisingly, was that 65% of that traffic is coming to and from Fairfield Road. So we anticipate that that kind of activity is going to be mimicked for this site. Which I think is another reason why I would be why I would hesitate in forcing all of this traffic that's using the drive-through out to 46, where they very well might be wanting to go directly to Fairfield Avenue.
Which is 100 yards down, and there's a signalized intersection right there to throw them right back onto Fairfield Road. So they don't really have to travel far. They go past the diner and make a right.
Plus, if they're only being, if you, to you, in a sense, your way, inconvenience. If they want to come into to that drive-through lane, all they got to do is just pull into a parking space, go pick up their food, and go right back out to Fairfield Road. The only people that we're interested in is the ones coming out of the drive-through lane. If you're coming in on Fairfield Road and you want to go back out on Fairfield Road, pull right in front of the place and get what you want.
If you were to design it that you'd make a right turn only, how would it be policed? How would you prevent somebody from making a left just because the sign says right turn only?
No,
Actually,
no,
nothing but a sign.
Paul, what I'm suggesting is not a sign. I'm suggesting that after they pick up their food,
Curve
the road is curved so that you cannot make a left-hand turn. You bring the bypass lane over to the other one, so they both have to go that way and move the green space forward. You're forcing the right-hand turn. This island, you move it
So
out.
where the
and bring the
triangle, where the
bypass in.
triangle piece is, you break
Yeah,
that
you bring that
triangle
out and you
piece.
bring your bypass in, and you have them both curbed or whatever, however you want to do it, controlled so that they can only make the right-hand exit
So you would be able to block them
from making a left.
from coming out and making a left.
Correct.
You'll have to go to the right and make a pathway in that direction.
and sorry,
How would that work?
Let's see what the attorney has to say.
well, no, in talking to the applicant, there are significant leasing issues that come out of the left, coming out of the drive-through lane, but turning to the right and coming off the bypass lane and going right, that's something we're able to accommodate. So, if we're talking about saying, hey, listen, let's make sure that bypass lane is going out, because frankly, if somebody's coming off that drive-through lane and saying, hey, I gotta get out of here, it's probably get out to a higher speed road to get out to wherever it is they need to be going. The left-hand turn, and I can have, the applicant come up and talk operationally about it, but I'm being told that that's an issue from a leasing perspective.
I don't even think anybody's going to use the bypass lane except for maybe Nate Moreno, because he doesn't like to wait in line, right, Nate?
Well, like, I mean,
Other than
he's
that-
got his Dunkin', yeah.
I don't think people are going to use it from the
Yeah.
shopping part here to go to quickly rip around and go on 46. They're
Yeah.
just going to back out and go out the main drive aisle.
Well, that makes sense,
I mean, bypasses lane is nice to have because it's more convenient if you don't want to wait, but
You're kind of stuck with it.
if you're in that line, you're getting your food and you're waiting.
I would imagine if you've spent long enough sitting there, you're gonna wait for it.
Right.
But yeah, the internal circulation side of this, I think there are ways for us to be able to make that a calmer. Your traffic safety bureau had asked, hey, let's make sure that you've got signage out there to make sure that left is protected. You've got open sight lines like Joe talked about. Rihanna's talked about kind of the safety that already exists there. I might even suggest that I personally would be more concerned, frankly, if you had that straightaway going all the way through the site out to 46.
Yeah, I already dropped that.
Yeah, okay. No, I know. But I'm just saying, in that world of
No, I
you
know,
the
but
left.
listen, I think he's still, and I don't wish this on him, but I still think he's gonna have a problem with people cutting through. Because if you study McDonald's, you'll see people fly through there.
Mhm.
and come out the back to go down New Dutch Lane.
Well, and,
Right.
and,
And
and I
Coop-
think to that,
Cooper Electric too, Cooper Electric, they use that as a cut.
yeah. I noticed there's a lot of, yeah, I mean, they're all through lots there, so
Right,
people are gonna
it's-
use those, you know?
Right. Becomes an issue.
Yeah, and that's why I think, you know, Miss Kirchhoff, and sorry, I've been saying it wrong for ages.
Right, who knows?
Or right, who knows? The suggestion about, you know, let's use the on-site traffic calming and use those mechanisms, because I think that from an on-site circulation perspective makes the most sense. Sure, is there a world where in given all ideal circumstances, Mr. Gasparini, that's what we'd like to see? Perhaps, but I don't think this is the one where it's necessary. And that's really the standard that we have to look at, is whether under the site circulation requirements, it would be necessary for us to impose such a restriction to an otherwise permitted use and an otherwise permitted circulation. I don't see a site safety issue that exists there, particularly where your traffic safety bureau has already said, you can do this with signage, slow it down, make sure it's safe. That's what we're able to do.
I've also gotten feedback from them saying that my thought was a very good idea.
I don't dispute it's a great idea. I'm just saying it's not something that's absolutely necessary.
I still like the speed bump, even though whichever way you go, I think a speed bump is good. I don't know what the.
I'm on team speed bump too. I'm on team speed bump too.
If you were to, you suggested a crosswalk, where would you suggest to put the crosswalk on the property to slow traffic down?
I think right out the gate at the north side where that dumpster is, we have these two islands. I think putting a crosswalk there initially is going to slow down drivers coming right off of 46. And it's going to give those drivers stopped at that exit point on the drive-through pause. Because they're going to wait to see if anyone's going to cross there.
Rhiannon, if I'm pointing.
Oh, yeah, I could be.
Sorry, we got it.
We have that there.
You're talking just at this end
Right.
here, right across from the dumpster?
Correct.
Yes, okay.
I think a secondary option would be halfway down through the site where we have another option.
Here?
Further
Is that where
down?
you're looking? Further down?
Yeah,
Okay.
where we,
Between
yes,
now and
between the two islands, where we can put another crosswalk or speed bump or raised crosswalk, something that will lift, you know, the eye, but also, you know, optically show something, but also audibly show something.
So, I mean, I think a crosswalk would be effective only because when you come out of the shopping center or the mall here, there's gonna be people crossing in between cars all over the
Right.
place.
You want to
If you have a
channelize,
designated cross
yes.
space, it may be helpful to,
But
for a
that's,
safety issue.
but Paul, to dovetail onto that, it has to go somewhere.
Yeah,
These
no,
crosswalks
absolutely.
aren't going anywhere.
Right, in the
You
front, I
can't-
don't see
You
it going
can't come off
anywhere.
an island and go to an island.
In the middle,
There's
in
no
the middle
sidewalk
of
on the side of that island. Now you're walking in the drive aisle.
Right, so if you look, I mean, you try to compare it to other places. If you look how Costco's is, they have a crosswalk in the front. Slows everybody down, you know pedestrians have the right of way, cars have to stop, and it's manageable. Is it perfect? Absolutely not.
Right.
No, but it goes to a crosswalk. It
Right,
goes
it
to,
goes-
it
it
goes to a
goes somewhere,
sidewalk
yes.
between the parking lanes,
So to put and Jimmy's correct, I mean, it has to go somewhere, can't just have a crosswalk.
which means you would have to lose.
Well,
We would have
so,
to lose
parking
so
spot.
let's talk about that point,
So
because I
let-
think it's a practicality, right? If we were to lose a parking space, let's say here-ish, right? If we're losing a parking space here to make sure that there's an accessible crosswalk that's coming across, I think that's serving all masters, right?
But what's it going to? On the other
It's
side?
gonna go to the other side, yeah, to those, to there.
Sorry?
You'd be coming from this parking area here, right? You'd be saying, okay, this is our main area of circulation.
You gotta put a sidewalk
think.
on this.
Mhm.
Get rid of this. Or cut it back and put a sidewalk in here.
To there.
There you go.
So you're walking over the island to get onto the crosswalk?
No.
Or
No,
you're
no, no,
cutting
no,
through
no.
the island? What?
No. I think, I mean, listen, this is attorney playing engineer, which is always bad, but.
Why don't we just ask the engineer to come up
we
since
can
he's
ask the
already sworn
engineer.
in?
Come drop it. I didn't see where you guys were pointing. All right. Yeah.
Midway.
Yeah, so this is pretty typical, right, where you have this configuration. If you were to add crosswalks, we could reconfigure slightly to get a sidewalk. So yes, you would not be having the crosswalk go right to an island where you're stepping into grass.
Right.
You'd have a sidewalk, and we would have the ADA ramp up so that you know, you can come up to here, it would be accessible, and then you can traverse through here.
So now we're taking away impervious coverage to add a sidewalk.
On
Right.
that island.
That
Above-
island, that little island
Up
right
a little
there.
bit, that, one- nope, down,
Down,
there, up,
up, right there, that island.
no, to the other side. On there, up,
To that
the
island.
next one up, there. If you cut the top half of, or the top portion of that and put a sidewalk in that area to go across.
Go across.
John, the other island would bring you
Doesn't
to
make
the,
sense
to the
because
larger
You
island.
got all these people here, so
You
you
would
want to
make that
channel
across.
to here and
Take
go
them?
straight across is what
You
you
go
want.
straight,
But I'm
straight
saying,
across.
Now we're giving up more impervious.
But you still have, not gonna work that way.
Well, listen, there's two ways to do this. One is to take my suggestion and have the cars go out onto 46. The other is to take your suggestion and throw speed bumps all through here. If they're happy with speed bumps,
Yeah.
so be it. I'm not a fan, but
Yeah. No, and I
it
think,
doesn't work for me. I mean, it's a beautiful complex.
and I think what, sorry, I'll just call you Rihanna because it's easier
Yes,
for me.
that's fine with me.
What Rihanna's suggesting is probably is do some things that aren't going to be the same speed bumps that are out there, right? The speed bumps that are out there are those very sharp speed bumps, right? The very harsh. They're not. They're not fun to look at all. They I think visually detract. What you do instead is do something more along the lines of the textured pavement, the something with
Stamped
the stamped concrete, something that's going to give you both
Color
that.
differential.
Doesn't
in-
slow anybody down.
Yeah,
Does
I would
not-
agree.
Does
I
not
think,
slow anybody
Yeah.
down. They have it at the exit, exit 89 in the Parkway, where I get off to go see his other place.
There you go. Yeah.
Nobody slows down.
Yeah.
Right
Wait,
over 'em.
sorry, Mr. Mayor, you said something there and I missed it.
The speed humps. They have
Speed
the
humps, yeah.
Wider.
I mean,
I
that
think
would-
speed bumps are your best option. I have to be honest,
Yeah.
because I think that for all of us, let the chief close his ears for a minute, but for all of us who have cut through parking lots in our career,
I don't know what you're talking
a speed bump is an absolute deterrent of like, I'm not gonna do it here
Yeah.
because I don't wanna slow down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I think that, with all due respect, the stamped concrete, all that stuff, that's not gonna make it happen. I think that a traditional speed bump is the only thing that's gonna really slow down
And there's
people from making.
potentially a lot of foot traffic from one side to the
Yeah.
other.
Absolutely. I mean, we have it in other strip malls in the
Yeah,
town. I mean,
so-
we see it. This isn't our first strip mall, so to
No,
speak.
I know,
So
yeah, yeah.
this is kind of a scene rodeo that we've all been
Right.
on the bull with.
Experienced, yeah.
So, but as far as the bypass lane, maybe that's your compromise. Send everybody to the right on that one.
Yeah.
To Mr. Gasparini's point, there's not gonna be a lot of volume going out there, but you may take your delivery box trucks out that way. You may take some of them out to the right. Because for me, to be able to make that left to go back to Fairfield Road makes that shopping center a little more convenient than being pushed out and doing the loop. So, I think there's a hybrid here, but I think you definitely have to pay attention to what we see in other locations throughout the town
Yeah.
for properties that are parallel to 46 and Fairfield Road.
Absolutely. And I think Joe's actually got perhaps another idea.
Yeah, so I think it's along the same lines. I think I think somebody said the wider, it'd be like a wider speed bump, right? So to give it a little more decorative, you can make them a little more decorative too, with just like papers through them. I don't have an exact detail, but we can work with your professionals on the detail. And then I think I heard signage of folks making that left out. We do have like pedestrian signage, right, or pedestrian crossing. So not that drivers making the left from the drive-through wouldn't know, but at least that signage will help indicate that they're making the left into that area, which is exactly why we don't have any parking right in front of. That was all in an effort to help with that turning movement. But to your point, yeah, having something, I don't know if I'm calling it correctly, a speed table. It's just wider and it's a little more decorative, so you can cross.
But the
with it.
bypass lane still is gonna make a right only.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
That's okay, Mr. Yeah.
Can I ask one more question? Just because, so if I'm coming out of the drive-through, to me, it looks like, in reality, it's almost like you're favoring everyone to kind of go to the right without telling them to go to the right. That left looks like it's gonna be a tough turn. It looks like
Exactly.
the car is gonna really, that left is gonna be a tough turn to get back in line with two-way traffic, right? So if I'm coming out from, let's say, Joe's Bagel Shop, and I'm in the lane going out to 46 and this guy's coming around, it seems like that island needs to maybe be modified a little bit to kind of make it a little softer of a turn perhaps.
Well, it's angled.
A smoother
It's angled to the
radius.
right now.
Encourage- we
You
don't wanna
pull up with the
encourage
car
the
and you pull your car up and you
But-
go
but if you're
perpendicular with
having the
that line,
left-
you're already heading to the right.
So you're referring to, if you're looking at the plan, I don't know if you can read it,
Right.
but
Yes.
on the north side of that island, right?
It just
Yeah,
seems like it's
You're-
pushing.
You're not perpendicular to make an easy left turn. You're
Correct.
making a,
Correct, so.
It's a tough
what-
left.
What we do there is
230.
we actually keep that a little, so we could, I'll say widen that radius, right? I think to your point, I think the word used was softer. What we try to do here is also do keep it a little tighter, so that does force people to go straight and make the left as opposed to cutting the corner, if that makes sense, right? Because if you make it softer.
Yeah, but what's the incentive to go up, to make that out to 46? That's the issue, I think.
And I think it lends itself that way.
That-
Like if
that's
you
what
look
they-
at the
that's
one
what the
island, it lends itself to go right.
that's
Point-
why,
It
I
points you
think it's a
down instead
no-brainer.
up.
Yeah, and maybe that's one of the visual cues.
Could we
like,
put a
we're-
sign that says, "We'd like you to make a right, please"?
Pretty please make a right turn.
We'll put the chief's picture on, it'll be perfect.
You're not elected, aren't you? No. No, I think, yeah, we can definitely work to figure out what the appropriate traffic calming measures are through the site. And we'll push all the bypass traffic there.
Okay.
To the right.
Maybe reconfigure that little
Yeah,
island.
I think that's a good
Take
idea.
that bump out that points to the left, and it will be a little easier
Yeah.
for anyone who wants to make a right out there.
Just do this here.
Well, no, underneath, yeah,
The island.
there you go.
Yeah. If you soften that to the right, it'll encourage people to go that way.
Oh, this here, you mean this one? Yeah,
Correct.
gotcha.
Correct,
Just
and we
giving them
can, we can widen that a little bit,
Give
correct.
them a little incentive to go there.
As I was saying, you're almost asking
Well,
without,
yeah, no,
without.
but wait, hold on. Because if you widen that a little bit, you think you're giving them a little more incentive. You're giving the guy a bigger, wider space to just come pulling out and make that left. If you're not gonna create a right-hand turn, I agree, I would leave it like that because you gotta stop, you gotta look,
Yeah.
and you gotta take your time making that left because it's not an easy left. It's like making a left off of Horse Neck Road onto Fairfield Road.
Mm.
You gotta angle your car to make that left.
Correct, so, and just to clarify, I think we're saying the same thing, but the curb line to the south of the drive-through is, I'll say, tighter
Right.
on purpose, right? So if we
Right.
made it softer.
It's
it would-
only
it
gonna
would encourage
create
you to just
a,
kinda cut the corner and you're going diagonal into that drive lane as opposed to being forced to go out straight and then make the left, which will slow you down and have all those benefits as well.
Any other questions from us?
okay, so at this point, we're talking about the bypass making a right, going right only out. And we're talking about numerous speed
Striping signage to help with. the
bumps,
traffic
tables,
calming,
whatever you call them.
correct.
We still gonna have the crosswalk?
I think, yeah,
I think
that'd be
it'll-
part of the
it'll
table.
double up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
we
you
can
should have a
that would be
crosswalk
Yeah.
over where you have this little island, that could be the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Leading to the other
You hear
one.
that?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the last part?
So,
So where you have that little brown island there,
Yep, right,
Right.
kind of in the middle of the building, correct?
down this end, right there.
Yep.
I think that, right, I think there should be a crosswalk to that side that'll pick up all the people in the back corner there, right? And they can cross hopefully safely.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
you do,
Yeah.
Correct,
yeah,
and we
you
can.
do two for one.
Exactly, and we can work with, Mr. Burry on that, but correct, some cadence of striping, speed bumps to help just slow traffic signage, whatever we need to on that, correct, on this main thorough.
One more question while we're scrutinizing a little bit. It seems as though, like they said before, there's really no place for pedestrians to walk. There's not sidewalks, right? So we're kind of crosswalks into the parking lot, whatever, but there's not even a way in some of the larger islands, maybe making a little section of sidewalk, just so, someone's parked all the way by the car wash lane, doesn't have to walk all the way around. They can kind of, maybe in two spots, walk through that island to get to the other parking lot without having to walk all the way around all these drive lanes. Right? Because if I'm at the Pink Pistachio and I'm parked at the 16 spot section
Yep.
by where, you know, you see the number 16. For me to get there, I kind of have to, well, there's a little pass-through there. I see something yellow hatched out.
Little pass through, correct. I mean,
But if, let's be the devil's advocate, I'm in the middle of the mall. I gotta really walk across the drive lane, I gotta walk with the drive lane, then I gotta walk with the drive lane again to get to spot 16. I think these little reliefs somewhere should be a little more frequent.
There's gonna be a gap in the island.
Yeah, a little
where
more
you can walk
frequent
through.
relief.
Yeah, we can do that.
correct, and that's totally fine. We can look at that and then just wanna balance that with the impervious coverage, right? Cause,
Yeah, right.
right, if there's some stipulation that we have a little more or find ways, we'll definitely look for ways to get it to, what the variance being requested, but, I mean, I wonder if there's a way to get a little.
Well, yeah, and I think that's exactly the balance, right, is where we say, okay, fine, let's maximize impervious, let's also maximize reasonable access. Where there's a trade, the trade here is in favor of access, right, for this portion, so.
It depends on how many, what we can nail down, definitely.
Yeah,
I'd like to see this.
we'll play. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. No, yeah, that was yours. Okay.
That walk.
Nance?
Any other questions?
We need, for this witness, no.
Okay.
Not for, not.
Any
We
questions?
do need the time.
Yes,
We do
let me
need
get
the times,
I will get the time.
delivery times.
Any other questions from the audience for this traffic study person? Seeing no one, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't think they could even do it.
Can you restrict it? Yeah, nobody's gonna come in here with a trailer because they can't get back here to make the delivery.
So, Mr. King, I made a rather silly joke earlier that we were the only ones who worked late night hours. Apparently, the idea is that all deliveries would be between 8 PM and 7 AM, so there you go.
8 PM, 7 AM, 8?
That's right. It's about normal. Yeah, that's normal.
That's normal.
Before the business is open.
Yeah.
They gotta get their stuff.
So your stores are gonna be closed by 8?
Probably 8, 10, something like that, you know. I mean, Starbucks is closing at 10 right now, so, yeah, what do I know? But I'm just attuned to coffee. So the gentleman who snuck up here, Mr. King, John Barry of MJ Planning LLP? Yeah,
Witness number 4.
yep.
Sir, raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony you're about to give before the board is true self you got.
I do.
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
Sure. John Barry, Barree.
And you'll be a factual witness?
I'm a professional planner.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're a professional planner, okay. So you're a professional planner and all your licenses are in full force and effect?
They are, yes.
And you've either been qualified before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Many other boards, but not here before.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, the witness has been sworn and also based upon his credentials, and being sworn, being found as an expert, he's qualified as an expert.
Thank you.
In planning.
You gave up.
I did, right. And just, so what's going around right now is we'll mark as Exhibit A5. It's a planning report that Mr. Barry had put together that kind of summarizes the testimony that he'll be providing to the board and will help support the planning testimony that he'll be providing. This is going to be marked, I believe, as A5.
Got this now?
Yep. I thought I did email.
Okay.
I'm sorry, was he not? In the electronic stuff? The hard copies, no, but I think it's electronic. If you didn't, that's my fault. Steve, did you see it or no?
Yeah,
No.
no, that was not part
Okay.
of the application, but it's okay. It wasn't
Right.
a
Yeah,
required
yeah,
checklist
yeah,
item,
yeah.
so it wasn't
Okay. Yep.
so you
There you go.
So since Cameron didn't submit that previously, I spared you reading 20 pages of what I'm going to relate to you this evening, so
But
win some, you'll lose some.
we expect you to go over all 20 pages.
I'm going to do my best.
You only get 18 of them, sorry.
Shall I go?
Yeah. go.
Okay.
Dive.
So,
Sorry.
good evening all, just here to provide, oh dear. Here to provide planning testimony to wrap up everything that you've heard from the other witnesses this evening. We've oriented the site fairly well through the other testimony. It's part of the HD zone, which is the Route 46 Special Highway Development Zone. And it's a kind of a wedge-shaped area that's really defined by its frontage on 46 and on Fairfield Road. Many of the properties along this part of the townships share similar characteristics we've talked about, the through lot nature that has frontage on both 46 and Fairfield. The total area of the properties in question, lots 20 and 21, is about 3.4 acres. You heard about the dimensions when Joe testified earlier. I'll check back in on those with the variance relief. And the surrounding uses consist of other typical highway commercial type uses. There's some offices, there's the McDonald's and the car wash. There's several other eating establishments, the diner just to the northeast. And then a little south and behind on Fairfield Road, you've got the Reformed Church across the street, you've got Funtime Junction, you've got a variety of light industrial uses. So it's a real mix of uses in the surrounding area, and the proposed use is both permitted in the zone, consistent with the master plan, and consistent with its surroundings, by way of brief introduction. So the relief that's being sought this evening is I broke it down into a few different categories in the report, and I'll do the same for the testimony here. We have dimensional variances. Proposed lot 20, which is the former Corrado site, existing is about 2.89 acres. We're swapping some land between the two sites, but they're remaining the same at the end of the day. It's just undersized where 3 acres is required. That's a condition that's not changing. The reconfiguration of the lots is not modifying the area of the property. And essentially, this is a hardship. There's no more land available. To take more from the Soundwaves property would render that even more non-conforming. So we're just keeping the balance that exists today. Same with the lot width. 300 feet of lot width is required, where 250 exists along the 46 frontage, not changing with any of the reconfiguration of the lot line. Lot 21, so that's the Soundwaves property, is the smaller of the two sites, and again, not changing in its overall area, but it is insufficient. Well, it's not insufficient in lot area because of the nature of the standalone use versus a shopping center. So it's a smaller lot, but is in fact conforming in size. It's deficient in width. 99.9 feet exists and will remain where 200 feet is required. There are side yard setback conditions to both of its sides that are deficient today that will not be impacted by the reconfiguration of the lot line. 25 feet is required for one side, 50 feet combined. 15.3 feet is proposed to one side, 24.2 feet to the other, which is a combined 39.5 feet. So those conditions, again, are a hardship related to the legal configuration of the property, the existing building and development on the site. So there'll be no changes there. The insufficient gross floor area, non-residential buildings in the zone are required to have 10,000 square feet of gross floor area, where the existing Soundwaves building is just over 4,000 square feet. That's 4,053, and that's not being modified. They're not modifying their building. The new dimensional variance that's being proposed is for a insufficient rear yard setback for accessory structures. That's related to the dumpster enclosure that's at the back of the Soundwaves property, just kind of down to the back left of that property. The condition today, it's the property is an L shape. It's got a hook to it, and the dumpsters are just kind of hanging out. If anybody had a chance to go by the site, they're just loose. They're out there. The addition of the enclosure will bring some more order to that, place it directly behind the building, tighten up the site a little bit, and certainly be an aesthetic improvement from the configuration that exists today. The next variance category is related to the impervious coverage. Impervious coverage is being reduced on lot 21 and is being increased on lot 20 as a result of some of the reconfiguration. There's about a 5,000 square foot net increase in impervious surface between the two lots. So out of the 3.4 acres, there's about a 5,000 square foot increase in impervious that certainly being managed as it's required to be through different stormwater management improvements. But part of the thrust of the report that I prepared was to take a look at the context in the surrounding area. Pages 14 and 15 in particular, take a look at what the existing impervious coverage levels are for the neighboring properties, particularly looking at the HD zone. So in that context, these properties are kind of in the lower third of impervious coverage among their neighbors. We understand it's important to limit the impervious coverage to the extent feasible, and we feel that the design here has done a good job of that, not proposing excessive coverage, and with the various improvements that were discussed in some of the reconfiguration of the parking lot this evening, I think the hope is that the engineer is going to be able to find compensation to make sure that we don't increase the impervious coverage any further. I will note that there was one, on the table on page 14, there was one value that got dropped for some reason. I believe it was lot
1501, right?
1501, yeah. So that should be 74.46%. It is shown, it is represented on the map on the following page. Just wanted to correct that typo there. So you see in the context of the surrounding properties, only one out of the 18 that I looked at is actually conforming to the 55% limit. It's about 51% coverage. The remainder all exceed, the next lowest one is about 66%, which is aside from our subject property. And most of them are in the 70s and up into the 80s. So the proposal here is well in line with its surroundings and even in the lower end of the neighboring properties. The signage is the next category of variance. You heard the architectural testimony, you heard the engineering testimony. Basically, each storefront going down the long end of the building facing the parking lot is proposed to have one tenant sign that will conform it to the area. And then each end is proposed to have one additional tenant sign for those corner units. The ordinance actually contemplates that. It allows for a corner commercial building to have two signs, one on each street frontage, but it doesn't anticipate a situation where you have a through lot. So technically speaking, with the 9 tenant spaces, we'd be allowed 10 signs and 11 are being proposed. So we're asking for relief so that the two ends can both have that presence facing the exterior on the frontage streets. The sign area, the monument sign that Chuck described, is proposed to be 72 square feet. It's 12 feet tall by 6 feet wide. This gives us 72 square feet. 35 square feet is permitted. The ordinance seems to contemplate more of the pylon sign style, the taller sign. It allows up to a 25-foot tall sign. So we're bringing the height of the sign down, making it a little bit wider, which in my opinion gives it a more modern look. It's less of a jumble visually as you go down the highway with signs at different heights. Keeping it low to the ground gives a better aesthetic quality in my opinion, while still being functional for identifying the site. And then we have, similar to the issue with the wall signs, we have 2 separate monument signs, one at each frontage, which is a condition that exists today for the Corrados. They had signs identifying the site from both Fairfield and 46, so we're keeping that design in place so that folks can identify the site from either direction. Parking relief, some of the dimensional issues that were noted by others, 10 by 20 foot parking stall sizes are required under the ordinance. 9 by 18 is proposed on both lots. The existing spaces in the Corrados parking lot are mostly measured out at 9 by 18, if not all, so we're just maintaining condition that existed, and that's a fairly standard size. Note that even though there are large cars out there on the road, many, if not all, modern cars have backup cameras, have other safety devices to warn folks, and even though some cars are bigger, there's a lot of measures that make it easier to park and get in and out of parking spaces. The drive aisle front yard setback on lot 20, that's dealing with the bypass lane that we've talked about. It's required to be set back 30 feet from the 46 right-of-way, and 20 feet is proposed. The existing condition that's out there today, there's actually a 2-way driveway that's basically at the property line when you pull in from 46. There's a 2-way driveway to a few parking spaces just to the north of the Corrados building. So even though we have a deficiency there, it's certainly an improvement from the existing condition. And I think with some of the reconfiguration, it's making that setup even better than what was initially proposed. There's also a parking side yard setback variance that was noted in Ms. Fahey's report that we did not previously identify, and that's dealing with the Soundwaves property, and that's the internal lot line between the two sites. There's 3.4 feet is proposed where 10 feet's required. So that's just about making sure that the lots can fit the parking that exists today, and the only impact is to the neighboring properties that are both subject to this application, so there's no impact on others. The number of parking stalls is an existing condition on Lot 21, which is the Soundwave site. 21 spaces are required where 19 exist and will remain. So that building's been functioning and that business has been operating with the 2-space deficiency for a number of years and will continue to do so, I believe, without any detriment. Lighting, we heard about the exceedance at the property lines. There's up to 1.4 foot candles is proposed where 0.3 foot candles is permitted by the ordinance. A couple different spots where there's overages near the drive aisles, which is important for safety. And then again, at that internal property line where you have common lighting that's really functioning for both sites so that the distinction of that internal line gets blurred. I think, let's see, lastly we have, or perhaps two more, dumpster locations. So Mr. Burry's report noted that the dumpsters are proposed in the front yard, defining the front yard as being between the building face and the street line. That certainly they are between the building and the street line. But they are not within the front yard setback, so they're set well into the site. They are screened and landscaped with the enclosures themselves and the surrounding evergreens that Joe described. So I think that on the balance there with a through lot, it's difficult to find back or side locations for them, but the screening helps mitigate any issues with their placement. And then last but not least, the driveway widths are required to be 15 feet when they're one-way operation. There's a 12-foot wide driveway for the bypass lane on the backside. Limited use. Most parking lots include 24-foot aisles for two-way operation between rows of parked cars. So 12-foot for one way of limited use shouldn't be too much of a safety or logistics issue for the site. So aside from the handful of hardships I noted, I think that we're looking at a C2 variances here where the benefits of the overall project and advance the purposes of zoning and outweigh any potential detriments. Certainly the project represents a massive aesthetic improvement to what's out there today. I don't know if anybody's been to the site. There's a little bit of debris around, and this pretty pictures that Chuck showed represent quite an upgrade to the property, to the highway frontage. So all the site improvements, stormwater management improvements, and the lighting and landscaping improvements advance purpose A of encouraging municipal action to guide appropriate use of development that promotes the public health, safety, and welfare. Purpose C, providing adequate light, air, and open space. The buildings are set back properly. The site is going to be well illuminated for safety and security. Purpose I, promoting a desirable visual environment. Chuck's pictures and narrative have spoken for that, I believe. And then purpose M, anytime we have a redevelopment site like this where you're using an existing disturbed site, you're reusing a property that previously had some kind of commercial use, speaks to the efficient use of land and lessening the overall cost of development, which is an important consideration. So that's the positive side of the ledger. And as far as the negative criteria go, I believe that all of these variances can be granted without any substantial detriment to the public good. The neighboring properties are very similar in character. None of these deviations, which are relatively minor, I believe, on the whole, would have any detriment on the neighbors. The office building to the northeast, the car wash, the McDonald's to the south and west, certainly have similar commercial impacts and would balance out nicely with this site. And then looking at the zoning ordinance and master plan, we have permitted use here. So both the ordinance and the master plan contemplate this kind of activity at this location. The 2012 reexamination report actually put into place the basis for modifications to the zoning ordinance in 2013 that made developments like this more possible. There were some more restrictions in place prior to that. And so this is a continuation of what the township has desired to see as far as sprucing up the Route 46 corridor and enhancing the commercial base in town. So I think with all of that said, I think that there's strong basis to grant all the relief that's being sought. I think we've had constructive conversation about some improvements to the plans that were submitted, and I hope the board finds the same.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions for the planner? Jim, any questions? Nothing? Okay, anybody from the audience like to address the planner? Seeing no one, thank you.
That's what we've got on direct, Mr. Chairman.
So I just have a question going back to the signs.
Yep.
I just need to, someone to come up and just show me where the placement of the sign is for 46.
And to ensure it doesn't create an obstacle sight line, because it, with that, the purpose of having it 10 feet off the ground.
Yeah, so I think I referenced that a little bit, so the
You
sign.
got your little red dot thing, your pointer there? This way you give us a better idea of where it's going, please.
So I'll point to it and then I'll mention it by
Good.
southeast west, but if you look at my red dot, it's right there. So to the west or southwest of the access to Route 46. Now, to the point about the site, I had brought that up slightly as to the reason why we were going with the monument versus Lollipop and the need, and generally, to your point, why Lollipop. So site distances, the way they work is they're from the roadway. So if you follow my pointer here, there's this dark black line. That is your site triangle based on the speed of the roadway and all that. So you can see it's, I'd take a guess, probably 30 to 40 feet away from where the sign is because of how set back the right of way is from the actual roadway. And then to the point, the request to move some of these trees really to enable, in order to see the sign, because again, it's so far set back.
So
into the site.
it wouldn't benefit you to raise it? I mean,
I
if
mean-
you can see it on the ground, wouldn't you see it better if it was up in the air?
I mean, to me, it's more of an architectural preference at this point. Again, so reason why we do lollipop signs or those pylon signs is if they are in this area, you would want a 6-inch post or a 12-inch post so you can see around it based on sight lines. But again, that's why it's more of an architectural aesthetic, as Chuck had indicated. So right now, it's just so far back that it's more of a design preference at that point, because the sight lines are not impeded
And you're proposing 72 square feet, correct?
for area, correct?
Okay. And in on both ends, 46 and Fairfield Road?
That's correct, Fairfield Road
Where is
as
it
well.
on Fairfield Road?
So where is it going on Fairfield Road?
So Fairfield Road, it's on the opposite side of the aisle, but on the east side, if you're following my.
It seems
pointer.
like an overkill
So,
for that road, the size of the sign.
so when he presented the sign before, it looked like there were 12 tenants on that sign. And we only have a maximum of 9 going in here. So I don't have an issue with the 72 square feet in the front,
Sure.
but can we reduce the back one to about 50 square feet? It's not a highway, it's a one-lane road each way.
Yes.
Boss said yes?
Boss says yes.
You're the boss, who you
right,
pointing to?
The other boss says yes too.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm done. You okay if they do a
50?
monument, Bill? You 50?
50.
Okay.
Yeah.
50, okay. Mayor, sorry.
Understood, thank you.
There we go.
You were ready to come up, right? I see you moved up a row and everything.
I had him coming.
Go back, go back,
back.
go back, go back,
Back.
go back. You're done.
Any other witnesses?
And the
No,
only other
no,
thing is, we did
sorry.
talk about angling that dumpster, right? We're gonna look at
We
that.
did, yep,
and,
yep.
uh,
Turning that.
Turning
dumpster.
it so that truck can just pull in on an
Correct.
angle, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then the LPRs that the chief was requesting, he would like them, 2 of them on, just the entrance on Fairfield Road, so that gets the cars going up and down Fairfield Road.
Okay.
Okay? okay? And it's to your benefit
Yeah,
as well
I
as
mean,
everybody else
I was gonna say,
with what
whatever-
goes on today in
Wha-
this
wha-
world.
wha- Whatever the chief's after,
Okay.
we're happy to oblige.
Okay, good.
Anything else you have for us?
No.
Closing statement?
I mean, I'm happy to unless there are members of the public who
Before
have
that,
any
is there
comments.
anybody from the public that'd like to be heard? Seeing none.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for working with us this evening. Particularly, I think it's been a really instructive and useful conversation with the number of conditions the board's proposed and worked through with us. As Mr. Barry's testimony kind of laid out, the project itself involves a permitted use on a site that's not being used optimally now. And what we're really proposing is an optimizing of a use here in a manner that's consistent with the vision and intention of your zoning ordinance. With a number of variances that are designed really to accommodate this site in particular, due to coverage questions, impervious cover questions, and everything else. I think Mr. Barry's testimony really speaks for itself in as to why that variance ought to be granted. I don't really feel a need to elaborate upon it. He's exceptionally capable and spoke quite eloquently on the point. What I will suggest is that this use with the improvements that have been proposed can satisfy and have satisfied all the requirements of your site plan ordinance, and that this can be granted without any real detriment to the existing conditions or any detriment to the public more generally. This is a useful, exciting use that we're excited to bring to Fairfield, and we'd ask for your assistance in doing so. And in doing so, we'd ask for an approval of the variances that have been requested, as well as an approval of major, preliminary and major site plan approval, as well as subdivision approval for the project,
Subject to the amendment,
subject to the amendments as we've discussed.
which I'll put on the record.
We will, or you will.
Okay,
Thank you.
What I have 10 requirements, and their approval will be subject to them. One is the state and county approvals, DOT and the county access roads. The next is the trees, that landscaping in the front where that front 46 pylon sign is. There was discussion about moving those trees, so that would have to be part of the final plat. Next is the dumpster in the front northwest corner that is across from the drive-through lane. That has to be changed, so it's angled, so it's an ease of picking up and the truck and maneuver on the site. Next is the deliveries. There's no trailer trucks. There's only box trucks, no more than 40 foot. And the hours would be 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. That would be when deliveries. So there's no interference with that drive-through.
Could I interrupt for 1 minute? Sure. I don't think we talked about hours of operation for the mall itself.
We didn't really, no?
I don't know, I'm asking. did
No,
we?
no, we didn't. No.
Okay, is there a limit on the nighttime hour when when the mall itself will?
I don't know that we've talked about one in particular, though I'd imagine it's likely your typical retail hours. It's something like, I think your code probably has like a 10 p.m. cutoff or something like that. I know that's consistent with what the state nose code is.
10 p.m. would be fine. I just want to have it on the record before we go. Any
Yeah,
f-
I was gonna
you
say,
want you want him to call his mother again?
we might need to. Yeah, I was gonna say, and Allison, it looks like you're looking for something here.
I'm trying.
We're looking.
Is this the highway zone?
I don't remember snow hours about.
Well, that's what she's looking.
Put the yellow by site ordinance.
Yeah. Is there an hours now? Thanks. If there's not, there will be soon, right? Yeah, okay. That's for you, Councilman. You'll sponsor.
Can we make it per ordinance or 10 p.m.?
Yep.
That's per the ordinance.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Then the next would be hours of operation per ordinance, or 10 p.m. to what time in the morning?
What?
Well, closing would be 10.
10 closing, and what time?
Yeah, places that open at 7.
7 then? 7?
Sorry?
7 o'clock open
Yeah,
hours?
yeah. What?
Drive-through would be open past 10.
Yeah, they said 8 PM to 7 AM, right? Which is fine, but
Is it later of 10 or whatever it sounds like
It'd
it
be
sounds like the
either
ordinance is
10
silent.
o'clock
Right,
or
or whatever
whatever the ordinance is.
I mean, the ordinance isn't gonna have a 9 PM shut off, so it's whatever's gonna be later.
no.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Then moving on with regard to,
And sorry, I know there was kind of the crosstalk there. Oh, did we have opening hours? Was
it'll
that
be, I
something-
guess, whatever the ordinance is.
Whatever.
7 a.m.?
7 a.m.
6:15, I don't.
she's serving breakfast.
Right, I don't know what time breakfast is, so, whatever time breakfast is.
And also raising cases. All right, so the next would be, with regard to fire hydrant, that'll be determined between your experts and the fire marshal. The next is, the plate readers, that will be discussed with the chief. He'll identify where you want those plate readers and type and
Mr. Gasparini.
location.
Mr. Gasparini, you said that was on Fairfield, right?
They would be
just-
pointing towards Fairfield Road to read those plates.
Gotcha.
The next would be the ballards. They're gonna be black and they're gonna be there for the support and protection of the safety of the diners. In addition, subject to DOT approval will be, the traffic coming off to 46. Speed humps, crosswalks, and/or signage, and traffic control, speed devices will be put into that main cut through from 46 to Fairfield Road. And that'll be with discussions of the engineer and your professionals.
Everything will be with discussions of the engineer, police department, and fire.
All the professionals. And then with regard to the last, the back sign will be amended to the maximum of 50 square feet from the, was presented.
And I have one more thing. If we're only gonna have, if you're gonna have 9 tenants, then you get 11 signs. But if you're only gonna have 7 tenants, we should only have 9 signs. So it should be
yeah.
based on the number of tenants plus 2.
I think that's fair. I think that's consistent with Mr.
So I think the
Pizza's testimony as well.
variances that they're asking for 9, but
Well, they're saying they have 9 tenants, so we're giving them 11 signs.
Right.
Yes.
It'll be no tenant,
Yeah.
no tenant mid plaza will have
each-
more than one sign.
it's each tenant to a max of 9.
Right.
And then two.
Right.
Two
Two
end
hands.
caps.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Agreed.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all I have.
All right, do we have any other discussion from the board?
One second, sorry.
Oh, nice.
It's on Hooper Avenue in Tom's River.
Huh?
It's on Hooper Avenue in Tom's River. The one in Wayne is, when you go to, by North Jersey. Oh, that little, where the Chinese buffet used to be. It says,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. Take a little 5-minute recess.
Sorry about that. Question on the hours of operation comes up. If the ordinance is silent as to hours of operation, and you were to have a tenant who's coming in as a drive-through restaurant that operates a 24/7 operation,
Mhm.
that's not inconsistent with your code. It'd be a permitted use. Okay. Good.
Is everyone clear on what he just said?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I can say it more clearly. No. Thank you.
Anything else you want to offer?
That's it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So obviously, it's a beautiful building, and it's going to be an asset to the Township of Fairfield, and we appreciate you coming and doing this kind of project for the Township of Fairfield. We certainly have conditions that were spoken about, and we'd like to do preliminary final subdivision site plan variance with conditions. So at this time, do we have a motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to approve this project. It's going to clean up a pretty blighted area. It's going to bring a nice aesthetic value and some nice commercial retail space to it. I think we went through this project in great detail. It came in great shape, and we put some touches to it. And overall, I think it'll be a positive to the community.
I'll second that.
Mayor Galise.
Aye.
Mr. Gasparini.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno. Mr. Palafonte.
Aye.
Mr. Dutcher.
Aye.
Mr. Costelli. Mr. Latimer.
Aye.
Chairman Cafone.
Aye.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much. We appreciate it.
So we're gonna take a 5-minute recess before we have our next applicant. Turn your mics off, please.
I think they heard Paul.
The exhibits, just if I leave you the paper copy. Yes, that's the white shopping center. Alps Road is the gray shopping center. And this is the multicolored shopping center. And to clarify, as long as seniors
Yeah, it always comes.
Where's home for you?
Lawrenceville.
Oh, yeah.
then you go down the name.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Third.
Hanging in?
This is third. I think he's 20.
And I'm only doing your part. I want you
So I started working with Louis the third.
You guys have big news now.
Yeah, very big news.
Yeah.
So,
Exciting.
kind of like when you guys all came over.
Well, I was gonna say, if you ever.
Under old business, application 2-2025, Toll, New Jersey 1 LLC, 100 West Greenbrook Road, North Corderville, New Jersey, 07006, block 2101, lot 8.03. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everyone hear me okay? I'm on?
You're
All right,
on.
great. Nice to see everybody again. I'm Kate Coffey from Day Pitney. I'm here this evening, as the chairman mentioned, on behalf of Toll NJ1 LLC. The property that we're talking about is located on Greenbrook Road. It's block 1902, lots 12 and 13, block 2003, lot 1, and block 2101, lot 8.03. We are proposing both a major subdivision application as well as site plan application. We were last here on September 9th before the board. It feels like it was just yesterday. And as I mentioned, we're seeking subdivision approval for 150 fee simple lots that will each have a single family home, as well as 7 open space lots and 1 additional lot that will contain multifamily affordable units, 17 of which are age restricted, 18 that are family units. The last time we were here, we had the testimony of Jay Cruz, who's our professional engineer. At that meeting, we heard several comments from the board as well as the public related primarily to grading, retaining walls, and stormwater. Since that meeting, our team has met with folks that live at Sterling Green, as well as the board's engineer. And we are in the process of working through updated engineering plans to respond to those comments that we heard the last time we were here before the board. These changes are quite extensive and expensive, and we don't have them ready for this evening. As a preview, though, they will include a significant reduction of the retaining wall impacts proximate to Sterling Green. We're relocating 2 homes that had previously been proposed closest to the Sterling Green boundary line, as well as the Patrick family single-family home, to move those to the interior of the site away from those boundaries. We are doubling the depth of the existing buffer between Sterling Green and the property due to stormwater management changes. These are going to be submitted via updated engineering plans to the board and its professionals in advance of your November 11th meeting. So we do not have Mr. Cruz here this evening. He'll be here then and will be able to present testimony on the updates to the plans and answer any questions that the board or its professionals or the public may have as to the engineering plans. What we thought we could do tonight to make the most of the board and the public's time is to present testimony from our traffic engineer, Carl Pinky, who's sitting next to me, as well as our architect, Steve Tiki. A couple other items to tie up. We had questions at the last hearing, you may recall, related to who's going to be owning water and sewer pipes and other utilities. Our expectation is those will be owned by the township or the applicable utility company or authority, respectively. And then I think it may have been you, Mr. Mayor, who'd said that, of course, they'll be working out contribution agreements as necessary, particularly as we go through the adjoining authority. Let's see, other open items. We'd had a comment, and this will tie into what Carl is testifying about the width of the Old Mill Road Bridge. We've confirmed with our bridge expert that we can expand that width to be at 28 feet. So that eliminates any concern related to the residential site improvement standards for that bridge. And I think with that, we can, oh, and then my last update for everybody, since we were last here, is our sewer service area amendment has been approved by the NJDEP. So that is accomplished now, and those materials have been submitted to the board. So they're on file at this point. So that's good progress on that front. And with that, I think.
So I'm just going to jump in and push back. You have a private community there, and we do not want your water and sewer infrastructure. We will bring it to your connection, and you will take care of your infrastructure needs.
I'll have to talk about it with my folks.
Okay.
On that.
That's maintenance also. It's everything. We
maintenance.
bring the water to the connection. They make the connection. Everything in their community is theirs. Same thing with the sewer.
And fire hydrants and
Everything.
water and everything else that
Everything.
goes with it.
Okay, I think let's circle back to that because that's when I'll have to discuss. And while we're here, why don't we
Yeah,
proceed
no,
with
that's
traffic
fine. I just
testimony
wanted,
tonight? Yeah,
you're giving me an update. I just want to give you
I appreciate
an
it.
update also.
Thank you. Where I was about to go was to ask Mr. Pankey to please be sworn, because he's not testified yet before.
So one other thing we spoke about was the emergency roads.
Yes,
And then we were gonna see how we're gonna go through someone else's property for the second emergency road, and you're gonna do a vehicle circulation plan for fire trucks and.
Mr. Pankey's going to present that this
Okay.
evening. It was a good preview. Thank you.
Sir, if you raise your right hand, you swear from testimony you're about to give before the board is true self you got.
I do.
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
For the record, my name is Carl with a K, Penke, P as in Peter, E-H-N-K-E, Associate Principal with Langen Engineering and Environmental Services, 1 University Square Plaza, and that's in Princeton, New Jersey. For the record, I am a registered professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, have been for some 30 years.
He'll keep going. Maybe Mr.
I can
King had
do
a
probably a
question.
little quicker. So your testimony is going to be engineering traffic specifically?
Yes.
And you're a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey, or all your licenses are in full force and effect?
Yes.
And you've either been qualified before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the witness has been sworn, and also his qualifications qualify him as expert in traffic.
Thank you, continue.
Okay. So, Mr. Pankey, thank you also for introducing yourself to the board and the public. I know that you have undertaken an examination of the proposed traffic circulation for the property. Can you please walk us through that?
Certainly. So, with this application, I've been involved with the site civil engineer, Mr. Cruz, as he planned for this development over the last several years. Associated with that, I have prepared a traffic impact study dated January 17th of 2025 that was submitted with this application. In preparation of that study, we've had the opportunity to coordinate obviously closely with the owner and the engineer on the design of the site. We've had the opportunity to work closely with Essex County, the Essex County engineer and the Essex County traffic engineer in understanding their needs and the proposals that we have for access to the site. We've had the opportunity, obviously, to review your professional reports and take input on this process to date, which has resulted in some changes that have been presented and are to be presented. And then, of course, we have undertaken a traffic study following standard traffic engineering procedures, which has included an inventory of the roadway system. We have done it over the last couple of years. We initially looked at and obtained traffic volume data back in 2022 when we started planning for this project, and then updated that data again in 2024. Both data sets were actually very supportive of each other, so we think we have a pretty good understanding of the traffic flows on the adjacent roadway. The traffic study basically focused on the area of greatest impact, which would be the West Greenbrook corridor where our access is connected, extending from Passaic Avenue and then connecting over into North Caldwell to East Greenbrook Road and Gould Avenue and points to the east and west of the site. The development of this traffic study did incorporate an evaluation of the community that's also proposed simultaneously in the borough of North Caldwell, and that's reflected in the traffic study. Also, the subject of tonight's application, of course, is the new residential community that is proposed to consist of 185 residential units, 150 of them which will be single family, the remaining which will be a multi-family cluster that have a combination of both age-restricted and non-age restricted units within them. That community lies entirely within Fairfield Township, and obviously is being reviewed by this board. I think Mr. Cruz has provided a really good overview of the project. From a traffic standpoint, I'll reference you back to Exhibit A4. The project, I guess, maybe.
Push the button.
That working?
On your bike.
That,
There you go.
that'll work. The new community as proposed basically provides a fairly simple layout of a system of streets that have frontage on it by single-family lots with car and garage and driveway apron combinations. The streets, as described by Mr. Cruz previously, are all 30 feet wide. Sidewalk is provided through the community. The multifamily cluster is located toward the left-hand side of the Board A4, or the southwest portion of the project. The community is designed in accordance with our residential site improvement standards. For the record, I know this board is here at residential development, but the residential site improvement standards are the statewide standards that are used for the design of residential developments and do govern this particular project. In accordance with those standards, this community will have 3 points of access. The primary day-to-day point of access is the extension of Old Mill Road. Old Mill Road is an existing North Caldwell Township roadway that links out to West Greenbrook Road. The second point of access that was on the original application under your ordinance is an emergency vehicle only access that connects out to Fleetwood Avenue. And then, as I've indicated, the project has evolved a little bit based upon the input that we've received to date. And there is an additional point of access that Mr. Cruz talked to at the last meeting that is being designed and connects down into Greenbrook Executive Park within existing easements that are provided within that road system. So that'll be a third point of access. That point of access is also emergency access. The difference between that and the Fleetwood Avenue access is under the control of emergency services. Should something occur at the crossing of Old Mill Road of the stream, that could be open to public traffic, to the residents. We don't envision that ever happening, but we heard that that was a concern, and we've added that in. I am going to refer you quickly to a new exhibit. I don't know where we are, Kate.
Hang on, I think I have it. 1 second. I think we're up to A9.
A9.
Mm-hmm.
A9, and what's today's date?
14th.
10/14/2025. The exhibit is prepared by ESE Consultants, Mr. Cruz. It's entitled Vehicle Maneuverability, Fire Truck Emergency Access. And this basically depicts the additional access driveway that is being added to the plans, and Mr. Cruz is busy working on providing those revisions. But basically, it's a 20-foot emergency access roadway that connects down into Greenbrook Executive Drive Park, and its roadway system that connects both to Passaic Street as well as to West Greenbrook Road. It has the ability to accommodate emergency vehicles circulating along that roadway, as well as I indicated, be opened in the event of some extreme condition to the residents for alternative egress to the site.
Mr. Pinky, just before you move on, the turning radius exhibit that you just showed, that was modeled off of the largest fire truck that Fairfield has based on the specifications provided by the fire chief, correct?
That's correct. That was provided to Mr. Cruz, and that's what he used in checking that. And of course, more importantly, it's designed in accordance with the Uniform Fire Code standards. It's 20 feet wide, which is also what RSIS would require in that situation. So it
is that access right out to Passaic Avenue, is that considered Passaic Avenue at the end of the turning?
No,
radiuses?
so it connects into the existing circulation roadway that's within the Greenbrook Executive.
Right, so from Greenbrook, Passaic Avenue, the entrance of the parking lot to
Right.
that location, how come you didn't finish the circulation?
Because these are established roads that are designed to accommodate
Right, but
emergency vehicles.
if they can't get from East Greenbrook to that location, then the rest of the point is mute.
Yeah, but emergency vehicles can get throughout the executive park already. That's an
Why
existing.
didn't you show it to us?
We assume that that's it's an existing condition that's existed for years. We can complete that picture if you want.
If you can complete it, it'd be nice to
That's
see.
fine. That's not an issue. Those roads were designed for emergency vehicles.
Yeah, no problem.
Gates and locks would be where?
Basically, we would work with emergency services, but typically what you would do is we would set up your controls at both ends of the site with appropriate signage. And I think we're willing to work with emergency services and engineering as to what they prefer on those situations, whether it's bollards or some sort of Knox box or something of that nature. But basically, it's now part of the plan, and I think provides that additional factor of safety to this community that we've heard was of concern. So with regard to the results of the traffic study, basically what if you had an which road? Okay, so basically the emergency access road, if referring back to A4, looking toward the left-hand side of the plan, comes down behind and connects with the Executive Park just to the west side of the multifamily complex. That circulation system for the Executive Park has a driveway connection out to West Greenbrook Road, circulates to the I guess I would call it the southern and southwestern side of the Executive Park, and then ultimately also connects out.
You're gonna come up, and how are you coming up to the streets?
The easements that exist actually.
No, not those, the ones on your property.
It comes up to the south side of that bioretention basin. So it basically circulates up through here. And that'll be on the final plan.
If I hold this one next to it, it might help to see, see together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it's almost running through this green area here. So that connection is now part of the plan.
Will that road be paved or
Yes,
padded?
it'll be paved, complete, open to traffic. It'll be maintained, snow plowed, and maintained by the homeowners association. Yes. Similar to the Fleetwood Road connection, that also will be plowed and maintained so that an emergency vehicle has access to it, and its gates and controls will also work out to the satisfaction of emergency services. This one, as I said, is not available to be open to vehicular traffic other than emergency vehicles.
Was there ever any talk of connecting the two developments with an emergency access road from North Caldwell to Fairfield between the fire chiefs and the police chiefs? Was there any conversation ever spoken of?
I haven't had any involvement with that type of conversation.
Do you know if there was?
There's any proposal to do so.
My understanding is it was considered, but ultimately the preference was to keep them separate.
Keep them separate?
Yep.
Even just as an emergency access road between the two?
My understanding is the preference is to keep to
Our
make sure that
was
there
our
is
preference?
independent access to this community.
The preference of
Um,
Fairfield, the preference of North Caldwell?
That I couldn't say. For one thing, I know
North Caldwell.
the North Caldwell access does have the bridge too, so this is a
So
bridge-free
we're already
access.
exiting into North Caldwell, correct? Because we're going through the bridge.
Correct.
But
What I mean
North
is,
Caldwell doesn't want to have an emergency access for mutual aid fires, for emergency situations with police departments, or anything like along those lines. They don't feel it's necessary.
I couldn't speak for them. I do
Okay.
know that one advantage that we thought to this configuration is if there were an additional access out through the top of North Caldwell, you have a bridge there as well.
Right.
And this is a bridge-free alternative in the event
Listen,
that you have a
I
flooding
understand,
issue.
like, the communities want to be separate. I was just wondering, why not put a 20-foot emergency access between the two developments? Firefighting purposes, hydrants.
Mr. Kafone, my
ambulances.
understanding is that North Caldwell actually wrote it into their ordinance that there would be no interconnection between the two properties. So
Did they speak to their emergency services?
I
they
couldn't-
wrote the ordinance in North Caldwell. I've been fortunate enough to be able to participate in their meetings, but I have not, I didn't participate in writing their ordinance, so.
But they understand we have mutual aid agreements for emergency services.
I
But they don't want
understand.
us to have access to either side of the development.
Again, I couldn't
Not up
speak
to
for
us.
North Caldwell, but
I mean, it
Mr.
just
T-
doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'm just saying.
Yeah, I understood, Mr. Chairman.
So, just to continue on, then, if you've had an opportunity to review the traffic study, as I've indicated, we've looked obviously at our access connections, both for the community that's being constructed and being considered by this board, as well as the access for North Caldwell in the traffic study. We've looked at the major intersections that are in immediate proximity to those driveways and have prepared a modeling and analysis. Basically, what we've found is that at the intersection of Passaic Street and West Greenbrook Road, there are operational improvements that can be constructed there in terms of updating and modifying the traffic signal operations. That'll be part of our application to Essex County for consideration of the county engineer and traffic engineer. I expect that they'll accept those and have us implement those modifications to fine tune that traffic signal operation. The other intersections remote from our driveways are all projected to continue to operate at reasonable levels of service, acceptable levels of service with no substantial degradation. Obviously, we are adding traffic. There will be some increases in delay, but nothing reaches the point where there's a failure. With regard to the intersection of Old Mill Road and West Greenbrook Road, we have spent quite a bit of time studying that intersection. It's obviously an intersection that is important to the area. It provides access to the school complex, the high school and middle school. It also provides the opportunity for access into this community through the Old Mill Road, Municipal Road, North Caldwell Municipal Road. So we spent some time with the county looking at that intersection and evaluating what can be done. It's sort of an interesting intersection. It's not atypical to what we find when we do work for school complexes. One of the critical time periods we always find when you have an accumulation of schools, particularly high schools, is we're always finding that there's a particular period in the morning where there's an influx of your staff and your students, and it's exactly what we found here. At that intersection, we're finding that basically between 7:15 and 7:45, about half the traffic that's traveling in each direction along West Greenbrook Road turn into and are heading towards the school complex. So that signal was designed to accommodate that and has been operating to date. In looking at that intersection, the solution that we really needed to develop had to take into account ways to ameliorate some of that ongoing problem that does happen with the school. We're all familiar with the fact that when that period happens, there are queues and delays that occur on West Greenbrook Road, particularly in the westbound direction, that are influenced by that, directly by that operation. And with the Old Mill Road offset in there, it was something we had to understand and look at very carefully. And we did come up with a solution in working with the county. So I'm going to refer you now to A10.
Yep.
A10. A10's upside down. Leave it to the engineers. They mount things upside down. A10 is an exhibit entitled Traffic Signal Plan, prepared by my office under my signature for the intersection of West Greenbrook Road and J.L. Hand Drive and Old Mill Road. So as I indicated, the existing J.L. Hand Drive is a signalized intersection on basically the eastbound approach. When the signal was installed, they widened West Greenbrook Road to provide a left turn lane into J.L. Hand Drive. J.L. Hand Drive itself also has two receiving lanes that basically extend back into the complex. And when they originally designed the traffic signal, they opted not to put Old Mill Road under traffic signal control. It's a little odd that they did that, but for whatever reason, they elected to do it at the time. And they put the pedestrian crossing J.L. Hand Drive into the median island and coming in onto the, I guess it's the west side of Old Mill Road. So that created some challenges in evaluating the best way to resolve this intersection. And as I indicated, anybody familiar with this area, during that peak period in the morning, particularly when that traffic is coming and turning into the high school, there's a couple of things that happen. If I turn that off, there's a couple of things, I'll talk loud. There's a couple of things that happen. since it's a single lane approach today, what happens is the opposing left turn really can't decipher whether somebody's turning right into that receiving lane or coming through. So that delays people choosing to make that left and creates some delays in the queues that you see on the eastbound approach today. And then similarly, since it's a single lane, there was delays that occur based upon the timing of the intersection in terms of the through movements and the right turn movements into J. Hand Drive. One of the things that happens is, again, similarly, the read of the approaching traffic from the other direction. So what we found was to solve this intersection, to decrease those queues, and to improve the operation of this intersection to receive Old Mill Road under traffic signal control, we basically needed to widen the westbound approach, not only to put a left turn lane into Old Mill Road to accommodate the vehicles that want to come into the new community, but really to separate that right turn movement, which is creating some delays in the opposite direction because of that decision making that occurs when you're making the left in, and also to allow more capacity. As I indicated, about 50% of the traffic is making that right through. So when I separate it and create twice the capacity, it actually substantially improves and decreases the queues that occur on that approach. It's not going to make everything that we're seeing out there go away, but it's going to substantially improve it and reduce it, and also allow us to introduce Old Mill Road as a signalized leg to the intersection. The way the intersection will operate, again, as it is today, there's that westbound, eastbound advance that allows protected movement of that left turn in for a short period of time, and then the eastbound, westbound movement will run. The difference now being that people making the left in will now only oppose about half the volume on the through lane because the right turn's being separated well in advance of the intersection turning into J and Drive. So that decreases the queues and delays the lefts in, and it improves and decreases the queues and delays on the westbound approach. With regard to the north and south movements, these will run at separate times. So when you hit Old Mill Road and hit a green ball, you have no conflicting traffic and will be able to just turn left and right out without any delay. And similarly, coming out of the school as you do today, when that movement turns green, you have no conflicts and will move out of the school. And that creates a very efficient operation at this intersection. The geometry of this intersection, we worked very closely with the county engineer in terms of how he wanted the lanes arranged, the widths of those lanes. He requested that we actually widen along the south side a little bit to clean up the receiving lane. He's requested that we provide some right-of-way improvements in terms of granting additional right-of-way to the county. Right now, the right-of-way is very tight up behind the back of the curb. We worked with the homeowner across the street to obtain the necessary right-of-way to install the right turn lane along J. Hand. That's in hand. It's not a question anymore. We have that right to do that, and we worked with the county on how this lays out. They've reviewed the signal. They've provided input to it. Certainly, they'll probably provide additional input as we make the formal application. But over the last 2 years, we've been able to get great feedback from the county. The pedestrian accommodation is carried through the intersection with pedestrian controls crossing West Greenbrook Road. As Mr. Cruz talked to at the last meeting, we're carrying a sidewalk into the community along the west side of Old Mill Road with a new structure crossing the creek, and that carries back into the site. With regard to Old Mill Road itself, Mr. Cruz did present an exhibit at the last meeting, A5, I want to refer you back to. So A5 was the exhibit prepared by Mr. Cruz for the Old Mill Road entrance exhibit. Old Mill Road is proposed to be widened to 28 feet with the sidewalk on the south side. This is within the public right-of-way, the North Cornwall right-of-way. As was just indicated We did look at the culvert crossing since our last meeting, and that will be able to maintain that full 28 feet across the culvert crossing and tying out into the intersection with Greenbrook Road. So we have a nice clean design. With regard to the culvert crossing itself, that culvert is currently under the maintenance jurisdiction of Essex County. While it's a township road, it's under the maintenance jurisdiction of Essex County. These types of structures are subject to a biannual inspection by the state of New Jersey. We've had the opportunity to obtain and work with the county on the latest inspection, which was done in 2024. The structure is in reasonably good shape. It's in need of maintenance, some pointing, and so forth, and that certainly will be taken care of. More importantly, in looking at this structure, we've been requested by Essex County to take over the maintenance of that when the community is completed and turn it over to the homeowners association. So associated with that, as we develop the site, there will be that maintenance work required and implemented at this bridge. That work will include actually rebuilding these parapets. We're going to pull them back a little bit to get the full 28. They'll be constructed to current design standards for the protection of vehicular traffic crossing 28, which will basically be concrete parapet faced with rock to look like what's there today. The surface of the crossing will be brought up to speed. Whatever pointing in concrete needs to be done will be done. And basically, the crossing will be brought up to current standards before it's turned over to the homeowners association for future maintenance. It will continue to be subject to biannual inspections. It doesn't just become the homeowners and then falls off the radar. The homeowners association will receive those biannual inspections and the maintenance recommendations that occur as they move forward. With
Mr.
regard
Beacon,
to the
pass one
structure.
If the homeowners association chooses not to take over the bridge.
They have no choice.
They don't have a choice?
Right, so, well, the county has strongly encouraged us, and we have agreed to take over the maintenance, and so that will be included within the homeowners association documents as part of their responsibilities, and it won't be a common element because it's off-site, but it will be part of what they are required to budget and reserve for and to maintain.
With regard to the structure itself, as I indicated, there is some maintenance, but the biannual report has shown that it is not load restricted. It is currently load rated to be able to accommodate any of the legal loaded vehicles that travel on the adjacent roadways and in the state of New Jersey. So there's no load rating restrictions on that structure. It's in good shape and can accommodate the type of traffic that are common to the construction and continued longevity of this community. So we've looked into that very carefully, and as a result of the feedback from the county as well as your professionals, we think we've gotten to a good place and understanding as to what we're going to do at that location, coincident with the improvements at West Greenbrook Road. And I think that pretty much summarizes the things we wanted to touch on.
I think so too. Let me just, give me 1 second to make sure I did.
Will the traffic signal be maintained by the municipality or the county?
That would be the county.
The county will maintain it,
It's currently a county signal.
but not the bridge.
And it'll be, not the bridge.
I think we covered it. Happy to have.
Is
Mr.
it
Pink-
signalized based on traffic with cameras, or is it just they set it and it goes?
No, it will be traffic responsive.
Okay.
And the county is still using visual cameras on this, and they haven't moved to radar yet. but,
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so it will be traffic responsive. The final timing of that intersection, I still need to work out with Asif, but we are proposing a similar variable cycle length that is responsive to traffic throughout the day. This is sort of a remote intersection, doesn't need to be tied into adjacent signals, so it's easier to allow the timing to float throughout the day based upon the traffic demands. It works better that way. It becomes snappier When you have a situation like at the high school, where you have like a mid-afternoon let out, or you have a game gets out later in the evening or something of that nature, it can extend the time to J-Hand Drive when you have something like that. But then the next half hour, it can just sit and rest on West Greenbrook Road because no one's coming out. And that's the best way to time a signal like this, and it will be activated, yes.
Are you, any questions from the board?
Yeah, I just have one question. This is going to be the only exit entrance road for the 185 families.
Yes, the active access. There's 2 additional access points for emergency vehicles, and there's.
This is a normal, everyday exit. This
Yes.
is it.
This is the way in and out, yes.
And that is acceptable?
It's sufficient to accommodate the traffic loads from this site, yes. It's designed to accommodate that. And it's not atypical. There are communities throughout New Jersey that have single points of access.
Under the RSIS standards, Mr. Penke's correct. With the emergency access through the Greenbrook office complex, you can have a single point of ingress and egress as long as you have the emergency access. And I think that's why Fairfield had the forethought to limit the access from Fleetwood to emergency vehicles only.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a couple if everybody's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Penke, just so everybody can understand the diagram,
Yeah.
the turn lanes are shown here. They're labeled. The through lanes are not. So that everybody understands, moving in the westbound direction at West Greenbrook, approaching J.L. Hand Drive, there is a through lane. So there's a left turn lane, a right turn lane, and a through lane.
There's 2 lanes on that approach, correct.
Coming up, coming up West Greenbrook, there will continue to be the left turn lane that's there today, and a through lane.
Correct.
J.L. Hand Drive has 2 exit lanes. There's an exit lane for right turns. There's an exit lane for left turns and what I guess will be straight-ish. And there's a left turn lane in on J.L. Hand Drive that is coming off of West Greenbrook in the eastbound direction. And there's a separate right turn lane in.
Correct.
And the purpose for creating those turn lanes is so as not to slow down traffic moving through the intersection.
Yes.
So, well, I'll stop pontificating and I'll ask the questions that I wanted to get to. Mr. Penke, you said this one was a challenge, obviously, because it's an offset intersection and you'd rather start with something clean. Are there other, you wouldn't consider this an optimal intersection design, would you?
No, I think it works really well. The challenges were more right-of-way constraints, trying to figure out how to deal with homeowner and lack of right-of-way and the stream corridor, which obviously creates environmental problems. But in terms of phasing and operations, while I'm going to split phase operations, if I was aligned, I would probably be doing a split phase or some sort of advanced phase anyway.
For
So
lefts.
It would be a multi-phase traffic signal regardless, so I think it just works cleaner this way. So the offset really didn't work this favorably in this particular case.
But it does add another leg to the intersection.
It does add another leg that's there today, although be it minor, it is sort of a little bit, I really don't understand why they chose not to have it under the signal originally.
Because it was 2 houses, that's why.
That it's in the intersection is just a little odd.
I've seen more than one time lefts coming out of Old Mill Road with lefts coming out of J.L. Hand Drive almost going head on. I don't know how they missed one another.
Yeah, so under this scenario, they will be protected. So J.N. Drive will run and you will be stopped on Old Mill Road with a red ball, no turn on red. And then similarly, when Old Mill Road is going, you have a red ball and stop on J.L. Drive. That creates that protection of movement.
Which is necessary. I mean, look, it's only 2 houses now, but those 2 houses are at risk every time they pull out of that driveway, because it is a crazy intersection. And I know because I drive through it probably 6 or 8 times every day. So that the board understands when school gets out, the board actually has control of, they actually have a key to turn off the signal and make it green for the exiting traffic to the school. And so that will cause its own set of delays.
It could still happen, that control, if the county still allows them to do that, they will be able to do that.
They let every bus out with a green light.
Yep.
Somebody actually stands there and,
Yep. There's actually someone who opens the box, flicks a switch, and works it manually. So you could have a green light coming out of the high school for 2 minutes, and the traffic goes down past the gym.
right.
And, well, in the mornings, it goes up and past and through onto Central Avenue in North Caldwell.
And that's something we actually may be able to look at a little closer with ASIF. If there's a particular time that's occurring, we could actually program the signal to have a short period where it can extend itself, rather than to, I think it's extending right now to 15 seconds. Let's say we could set the timing program at, between 2 and 3 o'clock to be allowed to extend for 30 seconds. It's possible to do this. Right now, it's on a single timing program. So it's something we can talk to ASIF about, and we can probably maybe eliminate a little bit of what they're manually doing and put it into the program.
And just, Mr. Pankey, when you say ASIF, for folks who
sorry,
aren't
the
living this, it's
county
the
traffic.
county traffic engineer.
Asif Mahmood is the county
Right.
traffic
County
engineer.
traffic.
I know the board knows, but just for the sake of the public, yeah.
The only other question I have is would this intersection, because we're coming out of Old Mill Road, out of a brand-new development servicing 185 residential units at a level D, would this intersection be improved if you had 2 exiting lanes, one that could turn right and one that was either going straight or left?
Not really, because really what's driving that D is my election to minimize the time to Old Mill Road. I've got it to, I think, 10 seconds or less. So it's really a function of the way level of service work. If it's more than 35 seconds that this is red, which will occur no matter what, because we're allowing a longer cycle length, it's still gonna show it as a D level of service on that approach. So it really doesn't provide you anything additional. The more important part is, I don't know that we really could widen this approach. We don't have any room beyond the structure, and trying to widen that structure is challenged both by obviously environmental, whether that would be possible with DEP, but we also have the 2 homes right on the south side, and the parking the front parking area for this home is right next to the bridge, and then on this home is basically here. So there's really no room for that type of a widening. But again, it really wouldn't change anything. It's more the way I've elected to time the signal that's prioritizing West Greenbrook Road.
And just an underhand pitch, because I talked to you about it before. You've been to the site in the morning. You've experienced this intersection in the morning.
Yeah, after our conversation, we went back and re-reviewed the videos and our analysis, and the modeling is accurate on it, but we did go back out and watch, and then took a little deeper dive into what we're proposing, and quite frankly realized that what we're proposing is going to solve a lot of that. It's not going to make it go away, but it's going to decrease that queue quite a bit, because when you really look at the numbers, and if you go into the numbers, it's really interesting for that half-hour period. It's just like, as I said, more than 50% of the traffic on Greenbrook Road is turning to Jayhan Drive. And that creates the delays because of the hesitation on this traffic coming this way. And then the combination of the through and right turn traffic being in one lane create the delays in this direction. So it's going to help that quite a bit.
Okay, and for the board's edification, my understanding is that the North Caldwell Planning Board is also going to be looking at this intersection because it is in North Caldwell, despite the fact that it's servicing this community only and not theirs. They feel that they have the ability to review the intersection because it's in their town.
And they've actually provided us input through their professionals, so as we refine this intersection, we've actually taken into account some of their input. So I've had several engineers input into the design of this intersection. It's always welcome.
I have nothing further.
Anybody else from the board have any questions? Anyone from the public have any questions? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. I want to turn the mic.
Dennis Lockignotter at 67 Schindler Way. I'm also on the board. It's Sterling
Jennifer,
Creek.
turn his mic on, please.
Dennis Lockignotter, 67 Schindler Way, Sterling Green. I have a question and a concern. We did have a very nice meeting a week or so ago, and we talked about some proposals to be made. I know this doesn't have anything to do with
So
traffic.
this is, your questions for right now are directed towards a traffic study expert.
Okay.
If you want to wait until the appropriate time to have your concerns heard, obviously we'll listen.
Crews will be back.
The crews will be back.
Okay. I was just hoping to have a simple answer because we're meeting with all the residents tomorrow to talk about those proposals. And I know it was brought up
So
earlier.
then at the end of the meeting, when we open up to the public on any questions, you can come back.
That'd be great.
All right?
At the end of this meeting?
Yes.
Okay, that would be great. My only other concern is we keep hearing about added responsibilities of the HOA, and that's a concern. Tonight, we talked about the sewer, the water, everything is going to be responsible for the HOA. Now, we have a bridge that I don't know how old it is, but now that's going to be the responsibility of the HOA. We talked about a dam that's going to be the responsibility of the HOA. All of these things keep adding up as the responsibility of the HOA, and that concerns us that if something is not taken care of properly, what's the recourse? And I know this is, again, getting a little bit away from the traffic, but it was mentioned
listen,
about the bridge.
We understand your concerns and we heard the question. So
Okay.
we're really not ready to answer the question, so
Okay.
let's wait till the end of the meeting and then
Sure.
maybe our attorney could help you out with some of those answers and someone else on the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions for the traffic study expert? Seeing no one, thank you.
Well, we have less than 15 minutes and we have some questions from the public. So does it behoove you not to call that witness? And
I
you're
see,
here.
I see our architect is on his feet.
You're not going to finish
You're-
in 10
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
And you have questions from a member of the public that may help you, or you may be able to answer offline.
You think you can do your presentation in 10 minutes?
I
or
could,
something?
yeah, I could be very brief.
Would
Okay,
that
you got
be-
15 minutes.
Yeah. He's been coming a lot without getting a chance to talk. So let's see what you can do, Steve. So while you're putting that up, this is Steve Tiki, who's our architect. All right, and Steve, we need you to be sworn.
Okay. Raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're about to give before the board, true self you got.
I do.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name?
It's Stephen with a PH, Tiki, T-I-E-T-K-E.
And you're the architect?
Yes.
And you designed this project?
Yes. The applicant designed the single families and,
Licenses are in
yes.
full force and effect?
Yes.
And you've been qualified before either this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Before other boards, yes.
Mr. Chairman, he's been sworn and also qualified as an architect.
Thank you.
You can.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just presenting from drawings that have already been submitted, but we have a full set of them at 11 by 17 if it's helpful.
As they're already part of the application, I don't believe we need to mark them as an exhibit unless it's your preference, Mr. Chairman.
Say again.
These are part of the application. It's
11,
already on, I know. It's already part of the application on file, so we can mark them if you'd like us to, but they're the same as what's in
Are
the,
these
Are these just smaller versions for us to
Yep.
see?
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
No colorization, it's just,
Some of them are in color, but they were previously.
okay, there's,
Yeah.
that's fine. It's-
Yes.
You just refer
We'll
to
ref-
these.
Yeah.
We'll refer-
Okay, so for the sake of time, I'll present Model 5, which is representative of a typical single-family model that's proposed. There are 5 single-family models proposed, and each has 3 front elevation options. And the single-family square footages range from approximately 2,576 square feet to 3,570 square feet. Each of the single-family homes offers 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths to 3.5 baths, a kitchen, a great room, a dining room, and support spaces. And 2 of the models, in models 2 and 3, offer a primary bedroom suite on the first floor, and the other 3 models provide a primary bedroom suite on the second floor. Those would be models 1, 4, and 5 depicted here. In the models with a primary suite on the upper floor, a residential elevator is provided. And also in those models with a primary suite on the upper floor, the primary suite is a minimum of 500 square feet, including the primary bath and closets. Every one of the models offers a optional, or not optional, but a flex office space, which is an extra room that can be used as a fitness room or an office. And 4 of the 5 models, including this one, offers an additional open loft at the second floor. With respect to the flex office space, the Homeowners Association regulations will forbid those from being used as additional bedrooms.
Will there be a closet in those rooms?
No. Every model offers a basement, and some models will offer a walkout basement, which is required at select locations dictated by the grading conditions. Every model offers 2 rear deck options, which are both 12 feet deep and vary in width depending on the model and the configuration of the rear elevation. And then there's another luxury outdoor living deck or patio option, which is 16 feet deep. And again, those vary in width depending on the model and the rear elevation configuration. Every model offers a 2-car front entry garage as well. I'll flip to a representative front elevation rendering of this model, Model 5, and you can see that we've used a mix of materials, including horizontal vinyl siding, vinyl board and batten siding, manufactured stone. Some of the models offer brick as well. Every one of the models has a covered entrance, and they're accentuated by roof overhangs, and depending on the elevation, some have larger porches, decorative columns, and metal roof accents. The maximum building height for the standard basement models will not exceed 35 feet when measured from average grade to the finished highest ridge, and the maximum height for the walkout foundation conditions will not exceed the allowable building height by more than 7 feet and 1 story at the rear, which is permitted by the ordinance. I'll move to the affordables now. This is the floor plan for the 17-unit age-restricted affordable building, and you're looking at sheet A-1.0 dated January 14, 2025. There are 17 age-restricted affordable residences in this 3-story building. The residences are all accessed by a central entry lobby with a vestibule. Mailboxes for these units are provided in that entry vestibule. And off the entrance is also a maintenance storage area for the building. All of these units are 1-bedroom units. They're accessed either by one of the 2 stair towers or by the elevator at the central lobby. In addition to a bedroom, obviously, every unit will have a kitchen, a bathroom, a dining area, living, and in-unit washers and dryers. I'll move to the elevations for this building. This is sheet A-1.2, which again is dated January 14th, 2025. This is the proposed elevation for these buildings. And as you can see, we've used the same materials that are proposed for the market rate single families, which include vinyl horizontal siding, vinyl board and batten siding, manufactured stone, metal roof accents at the entries, and some decorative columns. The building height is approximately 44 feet, and it will not exceed the allowable of 45 feet as measured from average grade to the highest ridge. The color palette for this building will be compatible with the color palette that's selected for the market rate single family.
Will you have a copy of that available?
What's that?
Will you have a color?
I don't have a color rendering of
Will
this
you?
building.
Will you have?
We can discuss it. Yeah, we can provide that.
Vinyl,
Yeah,
did
I
you
wanna
say
see-
vinyl siding?
Yes. Yes, vinyl signs.
Yeah.
Finally, this is sheet A-2.0, again dated January 14th, 2025, and these are the floor plans for the 18-unit, non-age restricted affordable building. There are 18 residences in this building, and it's a 3-story building, and it's accessed by one of 2 stair towers. The unit mix is as follows. There are 3 one-bedroom units, which are in this corner here and stack, and those represent 17% of the total unit mix, and they are approximately 749 square feet. There are 11 two-bedroom units, which are the predominant type of unit. Those are 61% of the mix, and they range in square footage from plus or minus 882 square feet to 957 square feet. And there are 4 three-bedroom units, 3 in this stack and then 1 on the 3rd floor. And those are 22% of the total unit mix and range in area from approximately 1,003 square feet to 1,114 square feet.
Excuse me, do you have a floor plan for those apartments?
We don't have unit floor plans developed, but based on other buildings that I've designed, the square footages are appropriate for the unit design that's considered.
Gonna have to see it.
have to submit it to the board so we can look at it.
You'd want to see an actual unit layout?
Yeah,
Okay.
Each of the different apartments.
A typical 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
Okay, we can provide that. Just to explain what the units will feature, again, like the one-bedroom units, they'll all have the bedrooms that are required, living, dining, kitchen, in-unit laundry that's dedicated to that unit, and a bathroom, obviously.
How many 3 bedrooms did you say there were?
4.
There are 4. Usually, yes. And finally, I'll end with the elevations for this building, which again, the materials are consistent with what's been proposed for the market rate single families, including horizontal vinyl siding, vinyl board and batten, and manufactured stone. And again, the height for this building is approximately 42 feet and will not exceed 45 feet when measured from average grade to highest ridge.
Mr. Tiki, there are air conditioner units for both buildings will be located on the 1st floor of the building with landscape screening.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And that's everything I have.
So you'll be back with floor plans, color renderings?
Color renderings.
Yep, I have this
Mr.
both on my
Santola,
list.
you'll be back with that? Thank you.
Okay, we can do that.
So you get to come back anyhow.
I get to come back, okay, thank you.
Glad we got that out of the way.
Any other
What's
questions
that?
from the board? Any questions?
I don't have a question for him, but I have a question as it relates to the traffic that we didn't hear about when we talked, our last meeting, we spoke about on-street parking. That was something that was going to be addressed for kind of overflow parking, that I don't know if that gentleman was supposed to talk about it or.
We can talk to, the site is designed for, it's 30-foot wide roadway which permits 2-sided parking, and that's what's proposed.
So overnight parking on the street, or does the town ordinance supersede what goes on? Because there's no overnight parking allowed in town as we sit today.
I think I think we had said at the last meeting, Mr. Dutcher, that of course we comply with municipal ordinance.
Okay, so no overnight parking, just parking, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the architect? Anyone from the audience have any questions for the architect? Seeing no one, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So at this time,
So you're going to carry this, correct?
Yes, please. I didn't, Mr. Chairman, did you want to take the one
yeah,
question
we're gonna take the
first?
one
Yeah.
question from the gentleman.
Yep.
And then we'll carry.
Yeah.
Do I repeat again? Dennis Locke, Ignata, 67 Schindler Way. So we have new site plans that we're going to review with our residents tomorrow. And the one question that I have that I know keeps coming up, and I want to be able to answer some of the residents intelligently, is why can't there be less homes on the site? Because it seems very congested. And I know we've talked about some proposal changes, which I think are good, but we're still concerned about where the retention pond lies on the bordering our property. So I just want to understand, how do I answer someone when they say, can there be less homes? And the answer that I heard was no, it's a done deal. So I want to understand the process.
So a few years ago, when the golf course was sold, a few years ago when the golf course was sold, it was determined that the lot sizes were going to be at 50 by 100, correct, Jim?
It was all part of a COA obligation and plan that had to be put together. So the number of units is not going to decrease, and the number of apartments are not going to decrease.
So in order to meet the COA
This is what-
requirements, you
this is the
needed a
plan
certain
that
amount of.
This is the plan that was approved.
Okay, so that was approved by the planning board.
It had to go
By
to
the
courts.
planning board, correct. And the zone was,
Create.
the overlay zone was created by the governing body in conjunction with all of this, yes.
Approved by the court.
Okay.
Right, and
And-
if I may,
and
so
Yeah.
the town was required to submit the plan to the courts. and
Right.
Because the court has to approve the plan as being adequate to address the affordable housing obligation. And what was submitted was the zoning that the courts have to approve. And so now that's become the court's expectation for Fairfield, is that they have this number of units to meet that obligation. Hopefully nobody minds
And
me.
there's no way that could be modified.
No.
Okay.
So
It
we're
could
here,
actually
we're
be
here to,
made worse by the court.
yeah.
Okay. No, I'm not a professional. I want to be able to explain that.
No, we need a new governor and legislature, and then a lot of things could change. But right now, we're stuck with what we have.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, so we're gonna carry to the next
Please.
meeting. The date for the next meeting is?
The 11th?
11th, maybe?
Yeah, next regular meeting is November 11th.
Is that without notice?
Yes, please.
So no further notice?
7 o'clock, correct?
7 o'clock.
Same time, same place.
If anything changes, you'll get a phone call.
Yep, thank you.
And if there's any issues or problems, you'll give us extensions.
Of course.
Thank you.
But if you
And
need one now, let me know. Yeah.
You will submit what we talked about
It's, will
well
be,
in advance of the 10 days, please.
yeah,
thank you.
that's the, but partially why we structured our
Okay.
testimony this
Good.
way this evening, is we know that everyone's going to want some time to
Right.
look at the other materials.
We need a,
That's clear.
motion to approve that.
Right.
For extension.
So we need a motion to
Motion to pay, what, carry?
carry. Motion to carry.
And just,
Who's got the first? John.
All in favor of doing it?
All in favor?
Aye.
I was gonna
Okay,
say, just
we have one other order
Just
of
for
business.
folks who are listening, I don't expect that Mr. Pinky will be back, because I don't believe we have open traffic issues, but our architect, of course, will be coming back with the additional items requested, and our engineer, of course, will be back to present the updated plans, just so folks have a sense of what's happening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So under miscellaneous, we have one order of business to approve the bills for Petrie Engineering, Burgess Associates, and New Jersey Hills
So
as
moved.
written. Got a motion?
No, that's
Second.
probably,
Steve,
but things
Steve?
always
Call
change.
the roll on the bills.
Steve, you're paying the bills.
All right.
Call the roll on the bills.
Mayor Galise,
Aye.
Mr. Gasparini.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Mr. Palafonte. Mr. Dutcher. Mr. Castelli. Mr. Latimer. Chairman Cafone.
Aye. A motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.